Chapter 2291. Naturally, they were very happy that Etianyin had taken the initiative to go over. With the help of such a powerhouse, even if they could not clean up the entire Giant Beast clan, they would at least have more power and hope. After making things clear, they quickly made preparations and began to rest and recuperate there. At the same time, Etianyin stretched out his hand and flicked his finger. The purple gold divine pavilion quickly disappeared. It was originally used for secluded cultivation. Now that the Giant Beast clan had been cleaned up, it naturally had to be taken back. Others found it inexplicable. It had suddenly appeared and disappeared, which made them feel very strange. After this battle, many people were seriously injured. Even though they knew that Red Moon Planet was very dangerous, they could only heal their injuries here before returning. Otherwise, if they went back covered in injuries, they would basically die. It would be better not to go back. The various divine star venerates also began to recover. This battle had consumed a shocking amount of energy. It was good enough that they could stay alive, let alone suffer casualties. As long as they were not completely wiped out, they would win. While Etianyin was checking the situation, the Heavenly Cloud Ancestral Land had suffered heavy losses and was immersed in sorrow. Many of his former divine generals had died in this battle. However, he was not sad. These were all things that could be done through some means. He could drag their souls back and then resurrect them. This was a bit difficult, but at least it could be done. He did not need the help of the Death Clan. He could do it himself. Therefore, there was nothing to be sad about. He would definitely be able to resurrect them in the future. He had said this before. When his cultivation improved in the future, he would be able to resurrect them. As for getting the help of the Death Clan, this was really too difficult. If they were to be resurrected endlessly, it would be too harmful to them. After a period of rest, they all came to the side of the teleportation array. As expected, the teleportation array had been destroyed. It was not this side that had been destroyed, but the teleportation array on Red Moon Planet side had been destroyed. This meant that a battle had begun on Red Moon Planet, and the city with the teleportation array had already fallen. The teleportation array has been destroyed. This time, we have across the void. Mei Qing Divine, Star Venerate, and the others frowned. This way, they would have to spend a lot of time on the road. They had to admit that it was really awkward to have only one teleportation array. Who would have thought that this would happen? It had always been peaceful, and no one would have thought that the giant beast race would appear. Hence, there were no extra teleportation formations. Etianyin looked around. A group of cultivators had worried looks on their faces. If they were to fly over, it would take a long time. Although their cultivation wasn't low, it would still take a long time to cross the void to Scarlet Moon Star. It would take at least a week or two to reach Scarlet Moon Star. A week or two was not a long time for cultivators. It could be said to be the blink of an eye. However, given the current emergency situation, it was an extremely slow process. Perhaps the Scarlet Moon Planet would have been razed to the ground by the time he reached there. If everyone trusts me, then enter this space. I'll bring everyone there by breaking through the void. Etianyin extended his hand, and a spatial treasure appeared in his hand. He gestured for all the cultivators to enter. Many cultivators looked at each other. Generally speaking, entering someone else's space was equivalent to entering a cage, and no one would be willing to enter it. All right, I'll go in first. Star Venerable Mei Qing took the lead and entered. He had already vowed to cooperate with Etianyin, so he had no problem entering. When the others saw Star Venerable Mei Qing enter, they also followed. With someone taking the lead, they naturally followed. They were very curious about what method Etianyin had used, but for now, they could only trust Etianyin. Your wife is very beautiful and very capable. Do you mind if I become your second cultivation companion? As Jing Xin was about to enter the space, she stared at Etianyin with a burning gaze. Such a crude and straightforward confession was really frightening. Thank you for your kindness, but I only want one cultivation companion in my life. Etianyin smiled and refused. Well, I will slowly make you change your mind. Jing Xin smiled at him. Such a bold confession. Probably only Jing Xin could do it. After entering the space, Yun felt as if his back was being pricked by needles. This gaze belonged to none other than his wife, Shuyan. He turned his head and looked behind him. Shuyan came up to him and said with a sweet smile, "You're really outstanding." Someone even came, and it's the talented Jing Xian Great Star Venerable. "You're really capable. You're flattering me. If I wasn't outstanding, would you have chosen me?" Yun laughed dryly. His wife was watching him from his side. Even if he wanted to do that, he wouldn't dare to act recklessly. Of course, he wasn't interested in Jing Xian. "You only know how to talk." Shuyan glared at him, then said worriedly, "This time, you have to be careful when you go to Red Moon Planet. I know I can't dissuade you. I can only tell you to destroy the giant beasts and wait for your safe return." As she spoke, Shuyan smiled, her eyes filled with tears. She had experienced this scene many times. She was worried every time, but she could only stay at home and wait for news. This time, they finally went to the battlefield together, but Yun went to another battlefield. "Why are you crying? Don't worry. I'll definitely come back safely. In this world, there's basically no one who can kill me." Yun smiled at her. "Wait for my return." He reached out his hand to wipe away her tears and smiled. Then he turned around and took a step forward. He disappeared and left this area completely. "You must come back." Shuyan knew how dangerous it was, but she could only pray there. This time, they could finally stand on the front line. However, they really didn't want to participate in the battle on Red Moon Planet. "Next time, we'll definitely go one step further." Shuyan was confident that they could participate in the next battle and perform even better. In the blink of an eye, Yun was teleported to Red Moon Planet. It was convenient to teleport to Red Moon Planet with the teleportation godstone. He didn't have to worry about the teleportation array being destroyed. When he first arrived at Crimson Moon Star, what greeted his eyes was a sea of fire. What was even more terrifying was that there were giant beasts everywhere. Primitive giant beasts madly rushed forward, and as long as it was a foreign race, they would tear it to pieces without hesitation. In addition to the giant beasts, there were also the evil spirit race and the green demon race. They were all killing crazily, turning the originally beautiful Red Moon Planet into the most terrifying battlefield. Even the sky above was shrouded in red. The battle had already begun, and Red Moon Planet was in a bitter battle. Chapter 2292. Roar. As soon as Yun arrived at Red Moon Planet, giant beasts immediately pounced on him. As long as they were from a different race, they would immediately rush over and destroy them. Their huge bodies didn't even reach him. With a light flick, the giant beast that pounced on him turned into a mist of blood that scattered everywhere. Immediately after, he waved his hand and released all the cultivators he had placed in the space. When they came out and saw the situation in front of them, they were immediately stunned. Apart from being shocked by the situation in front of them, they were even more shocked that Yun had really brought them over. They had successfully arrived at Red Moon Planet in a short period of time, which made them very curious about how Yun had done it. However, that wasn't the key now. The real key was to deal with the giant beasts. Oh my God, many areas have already fallen. My family. Let's go back and check on the situation of our family. Damn it, all of you giant beasts should die. They roared crazily and directly rushed back to the area where their families were located. Seeing this scene, their hearts were filled with worry. They didn't know what situation their families were in. However, under normal circumstances, their families had all kinds of protective arrays, so they shouldn't be breached in a short time. In an instant, they left one after another. Even Mei, Qing Divine, Star Venerate, and the others flew back to the areas they were protecting. I'll go with you, Yun said to Jing Xian. Young Master Yi, are you willing to let me become your cultivation partner? Jing Xian's beautiful eyes flickered. The strong possessiveness in her eyes could really scare people. That's not what I meant. I just wanted to say that the giant beasts will definitely attack some of the more powerful families first. Maybe your family has been targeted, so if I go with you, we might encounter divine, Star Venerate level giant beasts, Tianyin quickly explained. All right. Thank you, Tianyin Divine, Star Venerate. Chu Hetong smiled awkwardly. This elder of his was really too bold. However, if the two of them really got together, he would really approve of it with both hands. He absolutely had no intention of rejecting it. Tianyin had the cultivation of a divine, Star Venerable, and he was so young. He would be a fool if he refused even this. Now that Tianyin said that he wanted to go with them, he was even more grateful. If they really encountered a divine, Star Venerable, they really wouldn't be able to deal with them easily. There's no need to stand on ceremony. I came here to eradicate the giant beast race in the first place. There's no time to lose. Let's head over now. Tianyin nodded, indicating for them to lead the way. At this moment, Chu Hetong took out a few jade tokens, but they were all shattered. As expected, I came here to send a message. Chu Hetong looked up. Scarlet Moon Planet had already been completely enveloped by the verbal compliance law. This was the divine Star Venerable Rank's verbal compliance law. All messages were meaningless. Soon after, Chu Hetong brought Tianyin and rushed back to his clan with his fastest speed. Soon, after flying at high speed for a while, they finally arrived at the area where their family was located. The moment they arrived, they could see a huge city in the distance. It was being attacked by countless giant beasts in a frenzy. The thick barrier kept fluctuating, but it seemed like it hadn't been broken. However, if it was attacked by thousands of giant beasts, it probably wouldn't last for long. The huge city in front of them was actually the Chu clan. This was similar to the Tian clan. A so-called clan was basically the overlord of a region. The area they occupied was too large. They all had their own formations that could block all attacks. Fortunately, there aren't any problems for now. When Chu Hetong and the others saw this, they heaved a sigh of relief. They were most afraid that when they returned, they would see that the Chu clan's barrier had already been broken. At that time, everything would really become chaotic. This group of beasts, come with me to clean them all up. Chu Hetong led them and started to sweep away the giant beasts surrounding the clan. Originally, the Chu clan had been sending people to fight back. However, there were too many of them, and they couldn't deal with them quickly. Now that they had returned, and they were all Grand Star Venerables, it would be much easier to deal with these giant beasts. However, among these giant beasts, most of them were Star Lords and Star Venerables. Occasionally, there would be a small number of Grand Star Venerables. They were all in the most primitive state. Not all giant beasts could evolve. They had to be selected first. If they wanted to evolve, they would have to pay a lot of resources. If they could evolve at will, then none of the giant beasts in front of them would be in the giant beast state. Looking around, he really didn't see any giant beasts in the cultivator state, which surprised him. It seemed like the ordinary giant beasts were the main attackers, and their numbers were also the highest. The elders are back. When the Chu clan saw Chu Hetong and the others coming out, they started shouting happily. They had finally waited for their elders to return. There were 7 or 8 Grand Star Venerables, which was equivalent to more than half of the Chu clan's powerhouses. Now that they had returned, they undoubtedly felt more confident. Tianyin didn't stay idle either. He had come to see if there were any Divine Star Venerables. He didn't see any Divine Star Venerables, but there were so many giant beasts, so he wouldn't let them go. Soon after, he turned into a beam of flowing light and swept over. The cultivation of a divine Star Venerate could be said to be completely overwhelming. He swept through everything in his way. His eradicating speed was much faster than Chu Hetong and the others. They weren't on the same level at all. At this speed, it wouldn't be a problem at all to clean up the giant beasts in this area. This kind of situation really frightened the people of the Chu clan. If such a terrifying power could sweep through their experts, wouldn't it be as easy as drinking water? Even the Grand Star Venerables turned into a bloody mist in the blink of an eye. They died thoroughly. Where did this powerhouse come from? They were all stunned. Soon, with Etienne's support, it was very easy for them to clean up. Most of the giant beasts were taken care of, and the remaining ones were left to the others to deal with. Chu Hetong and the others returned to the clan and heaved a sigh of relief. It wasn't easy to clean up a large group of giant beasts. Where's the clan leader? Why don't I see him? Chu Hatong had been back for a long time, but he hadn't seen the clan leader come out to fight. Even if he was in seclusion, he should have come out by now, right? The clan leader was seriously injured and has been unconscious. That person said hatefully. The clan leader was clearing up the giant beasts outside when a divine star venerable cultivator suddenly charged over and attacked the clan leader. Fortunately, the clan leader resisted, or he would have died right away. A divine star venerable cultivator. They frowned, feeling that something was wrong. Yes, a divine star venerable cultivator. The strange thing is that the giant beasts didn't attack him. Those people were confused. Chapter 2293. After understanding the situation, Chu Hotong and the others roughly knew what was going on. It was indeed the giant beast clan that ambushed the clan leader. The most puzzling thing was that the divine star venerable giant beast clan immediately left after the ambush, instead of continuing to attack the barrier and annihilating the Chu clan. Tianyan was a little puzzled about this. He didn't know why the other party chose to attack and not continue to attack. Chu Hitong and the others quickly arrived at the clan leader's residence. Tianyan also followed them to visit. As soon as he entered the room, he saw an old man sitting by the bed, healing a man's injuries. Energy slowly flowed into the man's body to heal his injuries. When Tianyun saw this person clearly, his eyes narrowed. He roughly knew why the divine, star venerable giant beast chose to leave. The old man in front of him was a divine, star venerable powerhouse. He didn't expect the Chu clan to have a divine, star venerable powerhouse. This wasn't surprising. Many of the top-ranked clans had divine star venerables, but some were in seclusion, while others were out traveling. They didn't know the details. "Grandpa, how's Dad?" Jing Xin hurried over, her face filled with worry and anxiety. No wonder Jing Xin was such a genius. Not only was her father the clan leader, but her grandfather was also a divine, star venerable. "Xin, you're back." Chu Suifeng looked at her with a kind gaze and said with a faint smile, "Don't worry. With Grandpa here, your father will be fine." "It's good that he's fine. It's good that he's fine." Jing Xin looked at her father. Although his face was pale, his aura was relatively stable. With a divine, star venerable healing him, unless he was really dead, as long as he still had a breath left, he could be saved. After speaking, he seemed to sense the situation on Tianyun's side. When he raised his eyes and looked over, he revealed a bit of surprise. What a young divine, star venerable. He immediately sensed that Tianyun's cultivation had reached the divine, star venerable level. One's age might be concealed by one's appearance, but one's aura couldn't be concealed. He could sense that Tianyun was very young, but he couldn't sense how young he was. "Greetings, Star Sovereign Chu." Tianyun cupped his hands in greeting. Chu Suifeng nodded and stood up. He sized him up and asked doubtfully, "I wonder which faction you're from to be able to nurture such a young divine, star venerable." "Grandpa, he is the owner of the unique star Dharma that appeared on planet Desolate Dragon a long time ago," Jing Xin explained. "The owner of the Desolate Dragon star's unique star Dharma." Chu Suifeng looked surprised. He didn't think that Tianyun would be that person. "I can't believe that the Desolate Dragon Star could have such a genius. What a surprise. I don't know why they are here. Did something happen on Wild Dragon Star?" Chu Suifeng's face became serious. "Grandpa, it's actually like this." After Jing Xin explained the situation of the Desolate Dragon Star to Chu Suifeng, he nodded his head. "The Giant Beast clan is really scheming. I didn't think that they would have such terrifying power when they made a comeback." Chu Suifeng thanked Tianyun. "Thank you, Heavenly Cloud Divine, Star Venerable, for coming to help. Fortunately, I just came out of seclusion and sensed danger outside, so I rushed out immediately. If I had been one step later, Chu Liang wouldn't have been able to make it. The Giant Beast clan is too ruthless. They have extremely terrifying poison. I spent a lot of effort to remove the poison. Ordinary medicinal pellets don't have any effect. I have to force it out bit by bit." Chu Suifeng said in a low voice. "I wanted to trap him, but he seemed to have sensed danger and ran away immediately." If he'd been one step later, I would have definitely kept him here. Chu Suifeng's eyes became cold. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. His son was beaten up like that. How could he not be angry? If he had been one step later, he would have been dead. If it weren't for protecting his family, he would have chased after them. However, he was worried that they would lure him away, so he stayed here. More importantly, he had to treat Chu Liang's injuries. Yi Tianyan didn't doubt Chu Suifeng's words at all. Chu Suifeng's cultivation was not bad. He was a mid-stage divine, star venerable. He was much stronger than the divine star venerables he had seen before. If the other party was an early-stage divine, star venerable beast, then Chu Suifeng would have no problem keeping him here. So that's how it is. No wonder that divine, star venerable beast turned around and ran. Now that Scarlet Moon Planet is getting more and more dangerous, I plan to go out and find the location of those divine, star venerable beasts. Yi Tianyan didn't plan to stay here. With Chu Suifeng holding the fort here, he didn't have to worry about anything. Heavenly Cloud Divine, Star Venerable, I'll go with you. Chu Suifeng stood up and said coldly, the situation here is temporarily fine. As long as it's not a divine Star Venerable, we can deal with them. If a divine Star Venerable comes, then I will kill my way back and trap them to death. Moreover, I have a general idea of where they will attack. Chu Suifeng's eyes were filled with killing intent. He hated the giant beast race to the extreme. Now that his son had been injured, he was even more furious. Oh, divine star Venerable Chu, you still know where they will attack? Yi Tianyan's eyes lit up. He didn't know how to find the giant beast race's divine, star Venerable, but Chu Suifeng actually knew where they were. Yes, I've deduced a bit of the area. Chu Suifeng pinched his fingers and deduced the general situation. Yi Tianyan came to a sudden realization. No wonder Chu Suifeng knew. It turned out that he knew this kind of deduction technique. Jing Xin was so proficient in this type of technique. She probably learned it from Chu Suifeng. All right, then let's move together. Yi Tianyan nodded. It was definitely a good thing to have someone to help. At the same time, in another area, the Tian family had already fallen. They were being attacked by all kinds of giant beasts, and there were countless casualties. Tian Yuan and Tian Xinghong were both helping out in the Tian family. Although they had chosen to leave the Tian family, they still chose to come back to help when the Tian family was in such a crisis. When Yi Tianyan brought them back, they directly flew to the Tian family. The Tian family situation was much worse than the Chu family's, and they fell very quickly. Now, they were in a bitter battle. If they didn't have strong support, the Tian family would probably be finished. You two, leave quickly. Tian Yuanming quickly retreated to Tian Yuan's side after resisting a wave of beasts. We won't leave. If we leave, the Tian family will really be finished. Tian Xinghong said in a deep voice. If you don't leave, then we'll really be finished. Tian Yuanming looked at them and sighed. I'm already very grateful that you can still come to help the Tian family. I've let you down in the past, and I don't ask for your forgiveness. However, this is my stubbornness. Everything is for the Tian family. As long as the Tian family can prosper, I'm willing to sacrifice anything. Chapter 2294. The Tian family was in a crisis, but neither Tian Yuan nor Tian Xinghong chose to leave. In the end, Tian Yuanming chose to repent, but he did not regret it. This was his choice. In order to make the Tian family prosper, he can pay any price, including sacrificing his own child. As long as the Tian family can prosper, everything else doesn't matter. This was also the reason why Tian Yuan and the others were so disgusted. It seemed like they had done a lot for the Tian family, but this kind of behavior really made their children feel bitterly disappointed. They didn't have to sacrifice their own children to make their family flourish. Tian Yuanming just wanted to show that he was willing to sacrifice everything for the Tian family. Sometimes, they wished that their father could be a little more selfish. Regretfully, Tian Yuanming didn't do so. Instead, he disappointed them time and again. In the end, they could only give up on the Tian family. Now that Tian Yuanming was remorseful to them, if he was given another chance, he would still make the same choice. Perhaps he had no choice but to sit in this position. Whether it was him or the other elders, they all had the same thought. As long as the clan could continue to develop, they were willing to sacrifice anyone. This seemed to be very sacrificial, but it was the cruelest and most inhumane. It was easy to cultivate some cold and heartless people, which was quite disadvantageous to future development. Once they encountered any danger, they would be willing to sacrifice everything at any time. If that was the case, what sense of existence would such a family have? This meant that every time they went out on a mission, there was a possibility that they would be abandoned or sacrificed. Sacrifice was not scary. What was scary was not having that kind of recognition. Just like the Heavenly Cloud ancestral land, the management was not ruthless at all. Instead, it was very united. In terms of sacrifice and dedication, they truly surpassed all other forces. If you wanted them to put their lives on the line, they would do so immediately without any hesitation. The Tian family's policy is too absolute. It seems to be correct, but it has a dangerous trigger point. Today was the best proof. The two geniuses had chosen to leave. This kind of situation would happen again in the future, and the two of them would definitely not be exceptions. We won't leave. This is our route. When there is a crisis, we still need to protect the Tian family. Tian Xinghuan and the others chose to stay here and didn't leave. Sigh, only you guys would think this way. Tian Yueming burst into tears. The reason why the Tian family would fall so quickly was largely due to too many people choosing to escape from the Tian family. This is the problem of sense of belonging. They don't have much sense of belonging to the Tian family. Previously, he had been pressured by the elders to stay in the Tian family. Before they returned, this place was attacked by the giant beast race. This immediately made their hearts jump, and they all fled. This was also the reason why Tian Yueming was remorseful. However, he wouldn't regret it. Some people were just like that. They were just that stubborn. Since it had already happened, he would not regret it. Instead, his mentality would change. However, no matter how they change, the Tian family is about to be destroyed. It's useless to say anything. There's still hope. Continue to hold on. Tian Yuan and the others ignored Tian Yueming's dissuasion and continued to fend off the behemoths in their surroundings, killing the nearby behemoths in a frenzy. The giant beasts they faced were not divine star venerables, but just a group of great star venerables was enough to defeat them. Just as they were struggling to resist, two streaks of light suddenly flashed past. One of the figures was like a rake, ruthlessly plowing over, shattering a large group of giant beasts into a bloody mist. Seeing this aura, Tian Yuan exclaimed in surprise, "It's Brother Tianyan." They clearly saw that the person rushing over was Tianyan. He was a powerful divine, star venerate, and he was sweeping through this place. In the blink of an eye, all the great star venerate beasts were wiped out. Not a single one was left. The remaining behemoths were all low-level beasts. They were not much of a threat to the Tian family. You'll have to rely on yourself for the rest. Tianyan nodded at Tian Yuan and quickly left with Chu Suifeng, leaving behind the dumbfounded Tian Yueming and the others. Tian Yueming knew that Tianyan had come to help deal with the giant beasts mostly because of his relationship with Tian Yuan and the others. Sigh, looks like the Tian family is really going to change. Tian Yueming sighed deeply. It's not too late to change some things. Tianyan and Chu Suifeng were purely passing by. If they hadn't happened to pass by, Tianyan really wouldn't have planned on helping the Tian family deal with these giant beasts. He didn't have a good impression of the Tian family to begin with. He just happened to pass by and saw Tian Yuan and the others there, so he decided to help deal with the giant beasts. The two of them still have some feelings for the Tian family. Tianyan shook his head. There were many things that couldn't be thrown away just because they wanted to. It might seem like they were idiots, but sometimes they were just that idiotic. They might not have any dealings with the Tian family normally, but they would still come out to help at crucial times. Divine Star Venerate Chu. How far are we from that place? Tianyan asked. Chu Suifeng didn't think much of Tianyan's actions. After making some calculations, he said, "We're almost there. It's roughly in the area ahead. That should be where the Zhu family is." The Zhu family is a great family of Scarlet Moon Planet. It's not surprising that the giant beast would deal with them first. Zhu family. Etianyan had a strange expression. He hadn't expected it to be the Zhu family. However, he had killed so many geniuses of the Zhu family. What would the Zhu family think of him? What's wrong? Do you have some grudges with the Zhu family? Chu Suifeng noticed that Etianyan's expression wasn't right. There are some grudges. The Zhu family sent people to deal with me, but I wiped them all out, Etianyan said truthfully. No wonder. The Zhu family was blind. That old man from the Zhu family will probably make a move against you after he finds out. That old man is very stubborn. Even if there's a great enemy in front of him, he won't care. He will still choose to take revenge. Chu Suifeng frowned and said, I didn't agree with the union of the two families in the first place. However, I delegated the power long ago. What those kids do is their own business. Is that so? If they really come for revenge, I'll take them on. Etianyan didn't mind killing another divine, Star Venerate. Killing one was killing two was also killing. Don't worry. I'll talk to him and settle this conflict. I have some relationship with that old man. Chu Suifeng smiled. Then, his expression quickly turned serious. He looked ahead and said, We're almost there. I can feel that aura. That's right. Etianyan looked from afar. Indeed, he saw a terrifying power explode in the sky in front of him. It was obvious that a great battle was taking place. It was at least a divine, Star Venerate level battle. As expected, the Zhu family's divine, Star Venerate, was still in the Zhu family. Chapter 2295. Boom, boom, boom. There were violent fluctuations coming from the Zhu family. Etianyan and Chu Suifeng quickly approached the Zhu family. As they got closer and closer, they quickly saw the details of the situation there. The situation on the Zhu clan side was still rather bad. The great clan protecting Array had already been destroyed, and many giant beasts had begun to charge in, continuously overturning the houses, and even knocking away the cultivators of the Zhu clan. As for the Zhu family's god Candle Star Venerable, he was fighting against two god beast Star Venerables alone. He didn't expect the Zhu family's divine, Star Venerable, to be so powerful, able to fight one against two. This had a lot to do with Star Venerate Candle God's cultivation. He was a mid-stage divine Star Venerate, so it was not strange for him to be able to deal with two early-stage divine Star Venerate Almighty Beasts. However, from the looks of it, it wouldn't be able to last for long. The two divine Star Venerables were still very strong. Although they could not take down Star Venerable's Candle God for the time being, they believed that if this continued, Star Venerable's Candle God would definitely be defeated. Even if he could not defeat Star Venerable Candle God, the Zhu family behind him would be doomed. For such a situation to occur, Etianyan had a certain degree of responsibility. After all, he had destroyed a large number of experts from his Zhu clan. Without the support of this group of experts, it was impossible for them to resist. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame the Zhu clan for being blind and daring to attack Etianyan. The destruction of the Zhu clan had nothing to do with him. Etianyan couldn't just watch as his opponent killed him, could he? The Zhu family situation isn't too good. Chu Suifeng looked over and said with a sharp gaze, Tian Divine, Star Venerable, let's get ready to take action. I'll go help Divine, Star Venerable Candle first. You guard the side. Once they escape, immediately intercept them. Chu Suifeng didn't let Etianyan go with him. It was the best choice for one person to help and the other to stand guard at the side. After all, Chu Suifeng wasn't confident that he and Star Venerable Candle God could stop the two giant beasts. Divine Star Venerables of the giant beast race, every single one he could kill counted. Hence, he definitely couldn't let them escape. Moreover, Etianyan's cultivation was a little low, so hiding at the side was the best choice. If their cultivation was the same as Chu Suifeng's, then they would definitely rush over to intercept him. All right, I'll stand guard by the side. Etianyan didn't have any opinion on this. Anyway, he just had to take action. If he said that he could deal with them, he believed that Chu Suifeng wouldn't believe it. After formulating a simple plan, Etianyan hid at the side, and Chu Suifeng attacked without hesitation. Star Venerable Candle God, let me help you. Chu Suifeng instantly arrived near the divine Star Venerate. He opened his hand and released the power of the divine Star Venerate. The surrounding space was enveloped by his power. An incomparably huge palm enveloped a large area, which was equivalent to locking down the direction of the divine Star Venerate's escape. All right, Star Venerable Candle God's eyes lit up. He was delighted to see that someone had come to help him. He could finally get rid of these two guys. Oh no, another divine Star Venerable has come. Giant Beast Divine Star Venerable's face darkened. He looked at his companion and saw a hint of retreating in the other's eyes. Their cultivations were originally inferior to Chu Suifeng and the others. 2 against 1 was fine, but 2 against 2, they would definitely lose. The gap in cultivation was there, and it was not something that could be easily made up for. The two of them grabbed each other and immediately turned into a huge tornado, rushing out. This action shocked Chu Suifeng. He did not expect them to also know the body fusion martial arts. After using the body fusion martial arts, their instantaneous explosive power was greatly increased. It was far stronger than a person using their own power to escape. Dawn! The encirclement was forcibly broken, and they quickly escaped outside. Stop them! Star Venerable Candle God roared angrily. He threw the Star Venerable level treasure in his hand forward, and a giant hammer quickly became bigger. It was like a huge mountain, and it heavily hammered down on them. Layers of the void were smashed by this giant hammer, and it quickly pressed down on them. However, their strength was also not weak. Explosive whirlwind flash. Their body fusion martial arts once again erupted with stronger power, turning into an even more amazing tornado and fleeing outside. They cooperated quite well. With this amazing speed, they easily escaped from the attack range of Star Venerable Candle God. Boom! The giant hammer heavily hit the ground, and a huge explosion spread in all directions. A large area of the ground caved in. Its power was amazing. However, it was meaningless. They had all escaped, and they could not even touch a corner of their clothes. They had been suppressing Star Venerable Candle God by relying on this body fusion martial arts. Otherwise, if they had fought alone, they would not have been as strong as Star Venerable Candle God, and they would have been suppressed. Damn it, they escaped again. Star Venerable Candle God was quite annoyed. It was the same every time, and he could not hit them. Chu Suifeng did not slow down. He had been prepared for this. When they had just escaped, he threw a Star Venerable level treasure at the same time, the Dark Gold Divine Net. This was a treasure used to capture people, which was quite rare. The giant divine net shrouded them, and it immediately blocked their escape route. Chu Suifeng did not want to capture them, but to block their escape route. However, the two of them were not easy to deal with. With another burst of flashes, they quickly turned around and fled to the side. With a shio sound, accompanied by a powerful explosion, they instantly escaped the encirclement of the divine net and burrowed into the ground. They could not escape above, but it did not mean that there was no escape route on the ground. Swish! They disappeared into the ground in an instant, and a deep pit appeared on the surface. This made the faces of Chu Suifeng and the others sink. They had not expected them to have such a trick up their sleeves. The Divine Star Venerable Body fusion technique of these two giant beasts was too amazing. They were so fast that they could not keep up with them for a while. The two of them were focused on speed. Their attack power might not be as strong as Chu Suifeng and the others, but their speed was definitely much faster than theirs. When they were about to chase after them, the two divine, Star Venerable beasts that had drilled into the ground suddenly flew out. The two giant beasts flew backward and separated to the sides. Chu Suifeng and the others were shocked. When they took a closer look, they found that the two divine, Star Venerable beasts were seriously injured. A large part of their chests had caved in. It was obvious that each of them had been beaten. I knew they would drill into the ground. A familiar figure rushed out from the ground. It was Tianyan. Star Venerable Candle God was very surprised. He had not expected there to be a divine, Star Venerable hiding underground. After Tianyan rushed out quickly, He grabbed the head of one of the divine, star venerable beasts and started to perform a super soul search. Since he had come here, he had to capture some divine, star venerable beasts first and then search their memories. That way, he could immediately grasp the details of the situation. Chapter 2296. As Etionyan performed the Super Soul Search, he slapped the divine, star venerable beast next to him, exploding it into a bloody mist with one slap. He didn't even give it a chance to turn around. How could he waste such a fat sheep? No matter what, it was 5 billion star energy points. He couldn't let it go to waste. If he killed a few more, he could easily raise his cultivation base to the mid-stage divine, star venerable. After the soul search was completed, he crushed the divine, star venerable beast's head with a cold expression. After the 2 divine, giant beast-star venerables were killed, everything became easier. Star venerable candle god swept through all the giant beasts that were attacking the Zhu family with ease. Everything became extremely easy. Great strength was useful in this place. He could easily crush everything. After dealing with all the beasts, Star venerable candle god breathed a sigh of relief. The Zhu family was finally safe. However, the Zhu family's losses this time were quite large. It was as if they had been plowed by a group of beasts. Many places had suffered heavy losses. Fortunately, at least they hadn't been completely wiped out. Thank you for your help, Star Venerable Chu. Also, this friend looks unfamiliar. Are you a new divine, Star Venerable? Star Venerable Candle God looked Etionyan up and down, feeling quite surprised. They hadn't expected that the 2 divine Star Venerables would be intercepted by Etionyan. Although they hadn't seen Etionyan make a move, the 2 divine Star Venerables had been seriously injured. His strength was definitely not simple. This surprised Chu Suifeng. He hadn't expected Etionyan's strength to be so strong that he could predict when his opponent would drill into the ground. When he counterattacked, he could launch a surprise attack. Whether it was his prediction or strength, both exceeded Chu Suifeng's expectations. This made him reevaluate Etionyan. He wasn't an ordinary divine, Star Venerable. Ancestor, our Zhu family has suffered heavy losses. In addition, there's another area. Why is he here? A Zhu family disciple walked over and was about to report the situation to Star Venerable Candle God when he suddenly saw Etionyan there. He pointed at him in shock, his face full of horror. What's wrong with him? Star Venerable Candle God asked in confusion. Ancestor, he is the one who killed our elder. Although that Zhu clan disciple was terrified, he was no longer so terrified when he thought that the ancestor was beside him. What? You killed Zhu Xing and the others? Star Venerable Candle God's anger erupted in an instant, and his soaring killing intent enveloped Etionyan. He was ready to attack at any time. Etionyan looked calm. It was not unexpected for Star Venerable Candle God to show such an expression. Anyone would be angry when their own people were killed. I killed them. They wanted to kill me, so why can't I kill them? Etionyan was facing Star Venerable Candle God. He didn't mind fighting with him. He did not intend to save the Zhu family in the first place. If it were not for the fact that he had to deal with the giant beast clan, he would not have cared about the life and death of the Zhu family. God Candle Star Venerable. If what Heavenly Cloud Star Venerable said is true, then don't blame him. I won't attack unless I'm attacked. If they did this to me, I'd kill them without hesitation. The dignity of a divine, Star Venerable, is inviolable. Chu Suifeng chimed in from the side, representing that he was on the same side as Etionyan. It was not that he wanted to build a good relationship with Etionyan. He was just telling the truth. This Star Venerable Candle God's face was gloomy. He turned to look at that Zhu clan disciple and said angrily, Are you idiots? Why would you attack a divine, Star Venerable? He suddenly remembered that if they had attacked Etionyan, even though they knew he was a divine Star Venerable, they would have deserved to die. No, he was only a late-stage Star Venerable at that time, the Zhu clan disciple said. A late-stage Star Venerable could kill them all. Star Venerable Candle God's face changed. He looked at Yun with a gloomy expression. After all, so many elders on his side had died. How could he not be heartbroken? The great star venerables they had spent so much effort to nurture were all dead. If they wanted to nurture more in the future, they would have to pay even more. For this matter, our Zhu family admits defeat. If there's nothing else, please leave. We have a lot of things to do. Star Venerable Candle God immediately drove them away. He was rational. He was a little angry, but who asked them to provoke a divine Star Venerable? Most importantly, a late-stage Star Venerable had been killed instead. They could only say they were stupid. However, no matter how stupid they were still members of their clan. If it was any other time, they would have really started fighting. Now, both Yun and Chu Suifeng had helped him. If they had not helped him, the Zhu clan would have fallen. However, he could not take this lying down. He could not greet Yun with a smile. Could he? He knew he could not do that. Even Yun could not do that, let alone him. Even if his subordinates were stupid and did something wrong, he could not thank the other party for killing them. Right? Let's go, Divine Star Venerable Chu. Yun did not feel like staying there as a guest. He still had a lot of things to do. Chu Suifeng nodded. After saying goodbye to Divine Star Venerable Candle God, he left with Yun. Let me deduce the next area. Chu Suifeng started to calculate with his fingers, deducing the location of the Divine Star Venerable beasts. However, before he could deduce it, Yun said, "There's no need to deduce it. I know where they are and what their real purpose is." What? Chu Suifeng was surprised. Yun's news was really shocking. You even know their purpose? Yes, I just searched their souls. I got a little bit of their memories. Yun didn't finish his words. He got all the memories, even the childhood of the Divine Star Venerable. He knew it clearly. Your soul-searching ability is so powerful that you can even search the memories of the Divine Star Venerable beasts. Chu Suifeng was dumbfounded. If he could search like that, he would have done a long time ago. However, he could not find anything. More or less, it just so happens that I have mastered a technique. Yun did not say much about this. Instead, he shifted his gaze to the central area. They attacked Scarlet Moon Planet. In addition to obtaining resources, their other focus was to destroy the array Eye of Scarlet Moon Planet. Destroy the array Eye of Scarlet Moon Planet. Chu Suifeng frowned. He had never heard of such a thing. Yes, there is a huge array above Scarlet Moon Planet. It covers the entire planet. Once the array Eye is destroyed, the biggest seal will be broken. Yun pointed to the ground and said in a deep voice, "Under Scarlet Moon Planet, there is a group of divine, star venerable beasts sealed. Once they break the seal, the result is obvious." Chapter 2297. Chu Suifeng didn't know that there was a group of divine, star venerable beasts sealed under Scarlet Moon Planet. He had lived here for so many years, yet he hadn't discovered such a situation. There's such a thing? Chu Suifeng couldn't believe it. He didn't expect to find divine, star venerable beasts sealed under his feet. Although Yun didn't specify how many there were, it definitely wouldn't be a small number. If there were 1 or 2 divine, star venerable beasts, Yun's expression wouldn't be so grim. Yes, I didn't expect it to be like this either. It's normal that you don't know. The locations where your clans are located are actually array cores. They weren't specially set up under your clans, but have always existed. Yun looked at Chu Suifeng and said indifferently, "Did you choose an area with a higher concentration of star power to set up your clans?" That's for sure. When choosing a clan's residence, it must be a location with a higher concentration of star power. Whether it's above or below, there's rich star power. The place where our Chu clan is located is a place with an extremely high concentration of star power. The more Chu Suifeng spoke, the more shocked he became. Towards the end, he came to a realization. No wonder there are so many places with high concentration of star power on Scarlet Moon Planet. Those areas must have originally been array cores, constantly gathering star power to seal the divine, star venerable beasts below. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You think it's a treasured land, but it's actually one of the beast's targets. That's why they're wantonly destroying it. Etianyan shook his head and said, Divine Star Venerable Chu, your Chu clan must strengthen its defenses. Since it's one of the array cores, it'll definitely face fierce attacks. You guys enjoy a unique area, but you'll have to shoulder more responsibilities. According to their memories, there are no detailed records of the number of beasts. Currently, we're guessing that there are at least dozens or even hundreds of divine, star venerable beasts. Chu Suifeng's expression changed. If there really were hundreds of divine, star venerable beasts, wouldn't they be completely flattened? Not to mention hundreds, even dozens of divine, star venerable beasts would be enough to kill them. After being sealed for so long, they might have broken through to a higher cultivation. If they were all mid-stage divine star venerables, how could they resist? Indeed, after enjoying the resources we should have, we have to shoulder more responsibilities. Chu Suifeng smiled bitterly. Etianyan was right. The best resources were all occupied by their big families. It could be said that if they didn't occupy this area, they wouldn't have the achievements they had today. That region was like a huge astral gathering formation, making the astral energy in that region very dense. Even without consuming any medicinal pills, one could easily break through to the star venerate realm and above. This showed how startling the density of the astral energy was. All of this was brought about by the sealing of the divine, star venerable behemoth. This meant that they had to either leave obediently or hold their ground and suppress the behemoth. Apart from that, there was no other choice. If they left the place where their family stayed, there would definitely be other families coming over. At that time, they would either have to give up or continue staying. As long as he stayed there, he would definitely be attacked. The eye of the formation was there, so would definitely be attacked. It could be said that he was enjoying it while suffering. Indeed, there was no free lunch in this world. If he wanted to obtain it, he had to pay a price. Now, we can only hold our ground. If the behemoth attacks, we'll go and defend it. We'll also explain the situation to these big families. We must defend the eye of the formation to the death. If all the eye of the formation is breached, everything will be over. Etienne's expression was solemn. This was no laughing matter. If it was breached, not only Scarlet Moon Planet, but Desolate Dragon Planet would also be finished. There was some distance between the two, but with the cultivation of a divine, star venerable, flying over would be a piece of cake. At that time, there would be no point in hiding on Desolate Dragon Planet. Then, when you searched the memories, did you know how many divine, star venerables they sent? Chu Suifeng asked. When I was on Desolate Dragon Planet, I did a little investigation and said that there were at least 8 divine, star venerables. However, when I searched the memories of that divine, star venerable beast, there was a complete change. This time, a total of more than 15 divine, star venerables appeared. 7 of them were from the evil spirit race and the green demon race. The memories obtained on Desolate Dragon Planet were not wrong. The giant beast race had that many divine star venerables. It was just that the evil spirit race and the green demon race's divine star venerables were not included. Now, there were a total of 15. What kind of concept was 15 divine star venerables? Even if all the divine star venerables on Scarlet Moon Planet were added together, there would not be that many. However, now that they had killed 2 of them, the pressure was reduced a little. The green demon race and the evil spirit race, these 2 declining races, also have divine star venerables? Chu Suifeng's expression changed slightly. Because these 2 races were too disgusting, they had been oppressed like the giant beast race. It was basically impossible for them to make a comeback. Who would have thought that with a comeback, they would even have divine star venerables? This was really shocking. I'm not very sure about this. We can only wait until we capture the green demon race and the evil spirit race's divine star venerables to find out the details. Etianyan shook his head. He was indeed not very clear about this aspect. The giant beast race and the 2 great races were only in a cooperative relationship. They provided each other with resources. They did not know much about each other's situation. It was obvious that they were still holding back. All right, then let's go to the Foam clan now. The Feng clan is not small. It is not weaker than our Chu clan and the Zhu clan. Chu Sui Feng immediately named a clan. The bigger the clan, the more likely it was to be established at the formation core. That's right, it's that Feng clan. Yi Tianyin also knew of the Feng clan. In his memories, it was clearly recorded which clan had the formation core. Currently, the closest clan to them was the Feng clan. After they quickly rushed to the Feng clan, sure enough, the Feng clan was also being attacked by Divine Star Venerables. Moreover, there were quite a few of them. There were 3 Divine Star Venerables attacking. The entire Feng clan fell into a state of chaos. The Feng clan's Divine Star Venerables were also mobilized. However, there was only 1 Divine Star Venerables in the Feng clan. It was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. How could they deal with them? Therefore, the entire Feng clan was extremely chaotic. It looked very tragic, much more intense than the Zhu clan, especially the Feng clan's Divine Star Venerables. They were seriously injured, but they still had to desperately resist. The other Free Divine Star Venerables fiercely smashed the Feng clan, which was why the Feng clan was in such a miserable state. Chapter 2298. After Yi Tianyun and Chu Suifeng charged over, they immediately joined the battlefield to help Star Venerable Wind God resist the giant beasts. The 2 of them had just joined the battle when the Divine Star Venerable beasts saw them coming over. Their eyes turned cold, and they pounced on them. The Divine Star Venerable beasts that had been destroying the Feng family quickly came over to help. With 2 more Divine Star Venerables coming over, they naturally couldn't destroy anything. They could only deal with the Divine Star Venerables that joined the battle first. Star Venerable Wind God, leave this to us, Chu Suifeng shouted, indicating for Star Venerable Wind God to take a break. Star Venerable Wind God was in a very bad state right now. It was difficult for him to continue fighting. He had been purely holding on. His body had been shattered countless times. Every time he forcibly recovered, the situation became worse and worse. Instead of letting him continue fighting, it was better to let him rest for a while and then come over to help. That would be slightly better. Thank you for your help. Star Venerable Wind God didn't argue. He immediately dodged to the back, wanting to hide and rest. Yi Tianyin didn't have any feelings for the Feng family. The Feng family didn't provoke him. They didn't even go to the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion. Naturally, they didn't have any conflicts with him. It could only be said that the Feng family was too low-key. They didn't even go to the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion. It was probably not because they looked down on the treasures there, but because they had other reasons. Because of this, the Feng family was under attack. After all, so many powerhouses didn't leave. They would definitely send more Divine Star Venerable Beasts to attack the Feng family first. It could only be said that the giant beast race had investigated very clearly. The Chu family only sent 1 Divine Star Venerable. It wasn't that they looked down on the Chu family, but that Chu Suifeng was very strong. Star Venerable Wind God was only at the early stage of Divine Star Venerable. They would definitely deal with him first. The Zhu family's Divine Star Venerables were very strong, but their overall strength was empty, so they would naturally attack first. Obviously, what happened on planet Desolate Dragon had been spread here. Knowing that the Zhu family's Great Star Venerables were all dead, they would definitely attack first. Want to leave? One of the giant beast Divine Star Venerables immediately chased after it. Their appearances were similar, and it was impossible to tell what their original forms were. Only when they erupted with attacks did they realize that it was actually a giant armored lion. The giant armored lion God Star Venerable madly chased after him, not wanting to give the Wind God Star Venerable a chance to catch his breath. It was rare for them to beat a Divine Star Venerable half to death. If they let him escape, then they would have fought for nothing. Just as the armored lion was about to catch up, a figure dashed over at an even faster speed and stood in front of the armored lion. If you want to catch up, you'll have to get past me first. The one who intercepted him was precisely Chu Suifeng. His speed was very fast, just like his name suggested. Like a gust of wind, he blocked in front of the armored lion at an astonishing speed. However, This gust of wind was a terrifying hurricane, and its speed was even more terrifying. Let's work together and suppress him. The armored lion roared at its companion beside it. Soon, another divine star venerable beast flew over, a powerful aura leaking out. It was also an armored lion. As soon as the two armored lions came together, they quickly fused together. The star power between the two completely fused together. It was even closer than the pair of divine star venerables they had dealt with before. In the blink of an eye, a huge phantom of a giant armored lion appeared behind him, gradually turning into a substantial body. This feeling was very similar to the star aspect. Lion break. The two of them roared at Chu Sui Feng. Both of them roared angrily, and a terrifying lion roar sound wave surged forward. Wherever it went, the void shattered. Those with weaker cultivations had their heads explode. They didn't even have a chance to react before they completely left this world. The terrifying sound wave turned into a huge armored lion, pouncing towards Chu Sui Feng. Its speed was even faster than Chu Sui Feng's. Come on, let me take one of your moves. Let's see how far your giant beast race has evolved. Chu Sui Feng wasn't afraid at all. He stretched out his hand and waved. His body quickly turned into a hurricane, and a huge star aspect appeared behind him. Wind Eagle. Although it wasn't a unique star aspect, a level 6 star aspect was still heaven-defying. After Chu Sui Feng activated his own power, the star power from the sky shrouded him. There was a total of 53 cubic meters of star power, enough to show disdain for everyone. Fury of the Wind. Chu Sui Feng rushed up, and within the hurricane, a giant eagle appeared, charging towards the sound waves that were roaring over. Boom, boom, boom. The sound wave was continuously shattered by Chu Sui Feng as he rushed over. Finally, he fiercely hit the two armored lions, detonating an even more shocking energy bomb. For a moment, smoke filled the air and the star power dissipated. Everything in the surroundings was turned into powder, and it was extremely terrifying. As the battle on the other side reached its climax, there was also a divine, star-venerable beast on Etienne's side. The other party stared at him from head to toe, and there was a demonic light in its eyes, like the eyes of a sinister snake staring straight at him. Have you seen enough? Aren't you going to make a move? Etienne saw that the other party had been staring at him and had no intention of making a move, so he couldn't help but remind him. Hee, it looks like soft skin and tender meat. It should be delicious, right? I haven't tasted such tender meat in a long time, and your cultivation isn't low. The divine star venerable beast let out a strange sound, as if it was really going to eat him. I haven't cooked snake soup for a long time. Your meat should be acceptable. Even if it's a little old, it can at least be nourished. Etienne looked at him and smiled. You can see through my true body. The armored serpent's eyes were extremely cold. He didn't expect Etienne to see through his true body. Generally speaking, as long as he didn't release his power, it would be difficult to detect his true body. There's nothing I can't see through. Etienne smiled faintly and said, Cut the crap. If you don't fight, then I'll fight. As soon as he finished speaking, Etienne immediately charged over, not waiting for the armored serpent to reply. Hee, I was waiting for you to come. The armored serpent laughed sinisterly. He didn't attack, just waiting for Etienne to attack. At the same time, the armored serpent's figure twisted, and suddenly, a huge snake tail emerged from the seemingly empty space around it, wrapping around the charging Etienne. It was like a huge snake tail that could cover the sky and the earth, covering all directions of escape for Etienne. This was the purpose of the armored serpent. Its tail could be hidden in the void, and when the prey entered its attack range, it would immediately retract its tail. At that time, it would be like an inescapable net, trapping the opponent inside, making it impossible for them to escape. At the same time, there was also a dense poison gushing out from the snake tail, enveloping this space. Everything was waiting for Etienne to take the bait, and it was obvious that Etienne had taken the bait and fallen into its trap. Chapter 2299. Heavenly Cloud Divine, Star Venerable. Chu Suifeng was shocked when he saw the situation on Yi Tianyun's side after sending the two giant armored lions flying. It didn't look very optimistic. Think about yourself first before worrying about others. The two giant armored lions attacked again. After being attacked, they didn't suffer any injuries. Their bodies were covered with thick scales, which gave them extremely strong defense. Not only the giant armored lions, but also the giant armored snake. It had thick scales, which could resist very strong attacks. They basically all had a similar ability, which was giant armor. The powerful giant armor allowed them to easily resist all kinds of attacks, including attacks from divine star venerables of the same level. It was quite dreadful, and it was equal to a star venerable's armor. There were so many divine star venerable cultivators here. How many of them had star venerable level armor? Even normal star venerable level weapons were pitifully rare, not to mention star venerable level armor, which was even more difficult to obtain. The giant beasts had such an advantage. They could cultivate martial arts techniques and had amazing armor. They really didn't have many opponents at the same level. The two joined forces, and for a moment, Chu Suifeng was forced to retreat. They were too tough. After a fierce attack, the injuries would at most be minor, unless they aimed at their weak points and attacked fiercely. But would they so easily reveal their weak points? Damn it, Chu Suifeng was anxious. If Yi Tianyun died, he wouldn't be any better. Star Venerable Wind God, who was resting in the distance, was already ready to fight. Although his combat power hadn't recovered, he could only brace himself and fight in the current situation. It's time to get rid of your companion. He'll definitely die in the face of the giant armored snake. The giant armored lion attacked while disturbing Chu Suifeng's mentality. That's right. What's the point of you coming to help? In the end, you'll get yourself killed. It's just the right time to get rid of you. Another giant armored lion mocked. Looking at the area surrounded by the giant armored snake, they didn't think that Yi Tianyun could escape. They thought that he would be trapped inside and die. Just when they thought that Yi Tianyun was trapped to death, the snake tail that trapped Yi Tianyun suddenly exploded in all directions. The hard snake scales were like tofu, exploding in all directions, turning into countless fragments that sputtered in all directions. They were like meteorites, smashing down one after another. Wherever they went, a huge pit would be formed. This was enough to prove that the snake scales were not as weak as they looked. How is this possible? The giant armored snake let out a blood-curdling screech and quickly dodged to the side. More than half of its body had been blown apart, leaving only the upper half of its body. It looked terrible. Amidst the explosion, a figure appeared in front of everyone. It was Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun was holding 10-star venerable grade weapons in his hands, and he had 8 extra arms behind his back, each holding a star venerable grade weapon. At the same time, he gathered the surging star power around him and poured it into his body. The 10-star venerable level weapons were lit up completely, giving off a dazzling light. How could the giant armored serpent resist such an astonishing battle prowess? Even though the giant armored snake's giant armor was quite hard, Yi Tianyun had 10-star venerable level weapons in his hands. He could hack the giant armored snake to pieces easily. Didn't you think you were tough? Why can't you be tough now? Yi Tianyun chased after it. He wanted to take advantage of its weakness to kill it. 10-star venerable level weapons slashed forward fiercely, creating a colorful whirlwind. 10 different weapons carried different energies. How could the giant armored serpent resist them when they gathered together? The giant armored snake's proudest move and defense had been broken. Seeing Yi Tianyun pouncing at it, it ran away in fear. If it continued like this, it would be cut into pieces and used as a tonic for snake soup. Before the giant armored snake could run far, Yi Tianyun flashed and stopped in front of it. What? You ran away without saying a word? Didn't you say my flesh was tender? Why don't you come and eat it? Yi Tianyun looked down at it, his eyes full of disdain. The giant armored snake's face twitched. It had no idea that Yi Tianyun had so many star venerable level treasures. Besides, it seemed that each union's attacks carried a special power that blew up its tail. Go to hell, stupid practitioner. The giant armored snake opened its mouth and spat out a thick poisonous fog toward Onion. Its tail couldn't recover so quickly, but it could still spit out poisonous fog. The poisonous fog it spat out could even melt the void. Many holes appeared in the space around it. The space collapsed. A lot of messy materials were sucked in and turned into nothingness. Onion wasn't afraid at all. He quickly waved the 10-star venerable level weapons in his hands, and they turned into a whirlwind that met the thick poisonous fog. After rushing in, the whirlwind smashed the poisonous mist into pieces. Not to mention injuring Onion, it couldn't even get close to him, let alone injure him. The 10-star venerable level weapons had already destroyed the poisonous mist. Onion rushed through the poisonous fog and went up to the giant armored snake. Then he swung the 10 weapons at its head. The giant armored snake was shocked. It didn't expect its poisonous fog to have no effect on Onion at all. Before it could turn around and escape, Onion had already swung down and started a crazy slash, cutting the giant armored snake into countless pieces. Even its soul was cut into countless pieces, let alone its body. It couldn't be more dead. Ding! Successfully killed the giant armored snake. Obtained 5 billion star energy points and 3,000 kill points. The venom of the giant armored snake, the scales of the giant armored snake, and the bloodline of the giant armored snake. The divine star venerable level beast had been killed just like that, without any difficulty at all. Everyone was flabbergasted by the scene. He was dealt with so casually. Onion wasn't really that casual. With so many weapons and precise attacks, he could kill anything as long as it wasn't too hard. 10-star venerable level weapons were not to be underestimated. Other cultivators didn't have so many star venerable level weapons. Onion had 10-star venerable level weapons now. As long as he didn't deliberately go easy on the snake, he could kill it. After killing the giant armored snake, they turned to look at the 2 giant armored lions. Their hearts trembled. The giant armored snake was about the same level as them. The strength that Onion had shown was even better than Chu Suifeng's. Especially when they saw the 10-star venerable level weapons. It was really frightening. They hadn't expected Onion to have 10-star venerable level weapons. Chapter 2300. The 10-star venerable level weapons in Onion's hands danced in the air, and the surrounding void was stirred up. The stars above his head were surging, which looked extremely strange. Even Chu Suifeng was shocked. He didn't expect Onion to have such an amazing ability, and he had so many star venerable level treasures. No matter how high one's martial arts skills were, one would still be afraid of a kitchen knife. Even though the two couldn't be compared, having so many treasures could really crush someone to death. Onion was the best proof. He only used his own strength, without using any unique star Dharma Laksana or star power. He only relied on the Divine Star Venerable's own strength to achieve such an amazing level. This really shocked them. How on earth did he get so many star Venerable level weapons? Chu Suifeng thought Onion's strength was good, but it wasn't as deep as it had been just now. Just now, Onion had attacked him head-on, which had a completely different meaning. It also showed Chu Suifeng Onion's strength. Divine Star Venerable Chu, let's go together. What do you think? Onion looked at Chu Suifeng. Facing 2 Divine Star Venerables, it would be best to deal with them together. Of course, let's destroy them. Chu Suifeng laughed. The pressure from before had been greatly reduced, and he could finally fight to his heart's content. The next moment, the 2 of them rushed directly at the 2 giant armored lions. The 2 giant armored lions looked at each other and charged over again, clashing with them. Boom, boom, boom. The 2 of them kept exploding, and the surroundings were sent flying again and again. There was no place on the ground that was unscathed. Such a terrifying state was really frightening. The battle between Divine Star Venerables affected a wide range, and they would die without a complete corpse if they weren't careful. After a series of exchanges, the 4 figures were treated one after the other. At the moment, there were many wounds on the two giant armored lions, all caused by Etienne. On the other hand, Etienne's situation was much better. There was basically no problem. Damn it! The two giant armored lions roared. Etienne's attacks didn't cause any fatal damage to them, but the wounds were still terrible. The knives cut into their flesh, which looked horrible, as if centipedes were growing on them. Blood kept flowing from their bodies, dripping on the ground and dyeing a large area red. In addition, Chu Suifeng's sharp wind blade attacks also left deep marks on them, which were no weaker than Etienne. It could be said that they had a great advantage. The armored lion was basically in a state of being crushed. Compared to when Chu Suifeng was dealing with them, it was much easier. 2 against 2 would undoubtedly be even easier. The key was that their cultivation was superior to that of the armored lion, so it was easier to deal with it. Dragon! Etienne didn't give them too much time to catch their breath. He raised his weapon and rushed towards them. His power was raised to the extreme. Chu Suifeng nodded his head and continued to pounce towards the armored lion's side. He wanted to take advantage of the fact that they were still in a good state and kill them all in one go. Mere cultivators, you're the ones who will die. The two giant armored lions glanced at each other, and then all their powers merged together, turning into an even larger, giant armored lion. The two of them actually completely fused together, turning into an even more terrifying giant armored lion. Its body was covered in thick, giant armor that was even heavier than before. Regardless of whether it was strength or defense, they were all many times stronger. Vaguely, his aura had already reached the mid-stage divine, star venerable realm. Such a terrifying state startled Chu Suifeng. He had not expected such an improvement. Facing the fused armored lion, Etienne's expression also became serious. This wasn't an ordinary improvement. It was an obvious and substantial improvement. However, to them, the difficulty was still acceptable. Just as they were about to make a move, 2 beams of light suddenly shrouded them from the side, instantly locking onto the area where they were. Their surroundings were shrouded by a black, devouring power. It was as if an inescapable net had been formed, locking down their range of movement. What's going on? Chu Suifeng was startled. Why were there suddenly so many attacks surrounding them? It's the evil spirit race's reinforcements. Etienne's expression darkened. As expected, the evil spirit race had come to support them, and it wasn't an ordinary evil spirit race either. Sure enough, a figure appeared in front of them a moment later. A handsome and bewitching man floated in front of them. His hands were covered in black seals, and dense black lines flickered on his palms. The handsome man in front of them was not a cultivator, but an evil spirit race. The evil spirit race had also undergone a complete transformation, and it didn't look like the evil spirit race at all. His eyes were demonic red as he stared at the two of them. He licked his lips and said, "What a good fat sheep. You guys are so weak. You can't even stop them like this?" The fused giant armored lion roared at the handsome man. "Why are you interfering? We can take care of this." "You can take care of it? One has already died, and you can still take care of it. Right now, the plan is to end the battle quickly. You guys are dragging your feet." The evil spirit race's divine, Star Venerable, said coldly, "Don't talk big. The overall situation is more important. Hurry up and eliminate them now, then rush to the next place." The fused giant armored lion's expression was gloomy, but it still nodded. Now is not the time for them to lose their temper. Soon after, they turned their gazes to Etienne and fiercely pounced over. They opened their huge mouths and roared, "Die! Roar!" The fused giant armored lion roared, and an extremely powerful sound wave turned into a sharp arrow, piercing towards them. Chu Suifeng's expression changed. They were currently enveloped by this black net, and it would take a certain amount of time to break out. Now that they wanted to break out, there was no chance for them to do so. They had to face the terrifying sound wave head-on. "Mere 3 divine, Star Venerables dare to stop me?" Etienne's eyes flashed, and he indicated, "Divine Star Venerable Chu, leave this to me." The power gathered in Divine Star Venerable Chu's hand paused for a moment. He didn't know what Etienne meant. Just as he was about to go all out, and completely destroy this place. Tianyun stepped forward. Before he could speak, a huge unique star Dharmalaksana instantly burst out behind Tianyun. The stars above converged and turned into an extremely thick beam of light that shrouded them. It had as much as 70 cubic meters of star power. It looked down on all heroes, and the whole world trembled. Break for me. The power of the 10-star venerable level weapons was exerted to the extreme. They fiercely slashed forward, and a huge blade light broke forward, splitting the sound wave that was rushing over into two. It also broke the black net in front of it, and at the same time, it slashed towards the giant armored lion. Chapter 23:01. After Tianyun unleashed his full strength, his powerful strength easily cut the armored lion into two. It didn't die, and it quickly healed back into a whole body. It was just that its form was much smaller, as if it had shrunk a lot. Originally, this armored lion was in the form of energy. After being injured, it wouldn't die, but it would only be injured. However, according to the situation, if it took a few more slashes, it would definitely be half dead. Divine Star's Sovereign Shu, I'll leave that guy to you, and leave this guy to me. Tianyun flew towards the armored lion and left the evil spirit race to Chu Suifeng. This armored lion wasn't easy to deal with. He had to focus on dealing with it. Kill. Tianyun fiercely slashed down again. The heavy slash instantly locked onto the armored lion. The terrifying blade light scared the armored lion into running away. They had never seen such a heaven-defying existence before. They could only turn around and escape, not daring to stop at all. They knew that if they continued to stay, they would definitely die. No matter how unafraid they were of death, they shouldn't play like this. This was simply courting death. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The blade light slashed down again, and the escaping armored lion was once again split into two. After being split into two, it quickly recovered and healed. However, the recovered armored lion shrank a lot again. Tianyun chased after it again, slashing down again and again. His strength seemed to be endless as he slashed down crazily. The armored lion became smaller and smaller. It was no longer as burly as before and was only the size of a small hill. One had to know that its previous appearance had the shape of a large mountain, which was extremely terrifying. Now, it was the size of a small hill after being slashed by him, and it didn't seem to be threatening at all. Your healing power is quite strong? Then let's slash again. Tianyun slashed down with all his might again, and the terrifying blade light turned into countless light swords, slashing down heavily. When it hit the armored lion again, it let out a miserable cry, and its body was blown into pieces. At this time, the two giant armored lions finally separated, turning back into two heavily injured giant armored lions. Tianyun didn't stop. While they were seriously injured, he waved 10-star venerable level weapons and slashed at them. The result was the same. They were both killed easily. They had been chased everywhere when they were combined. After separating, they couldn't deal with Tianyun at all. It didn't take long for such a terrifying armored lion to be killed. On the other hand, Chu Suifeng had completely suppressed the evil spirit race. He had not been defeated, but it seemed that Chu Suifeng had the absolute advantage. But compared to Tianyun's omnidirectional crushing, it is still too far away. Now, it is your turn. Tianyun looked at the evil spirit with cold eyes. Tianyun. Damn it, why is there such a monstrous existence among the cultivators? The evil spirit race's divine, star venerable, turned around and fled. He didn't dare to stay any longer. The giant armored lion was hacked to death. When Tianyun arrived, he wouldn't be able to escape anymore. You still want to escape? Chu Suifeng snorted and quickly intercepted him. He turned into a hurricane and swept over. The surrounding void was twisted, and the earth and the sky became dark. It felt like they were going to collapse at any time. Wind of destruction. Chu Suifeng used a killer move. The terrifying wind of death enveloped the evil spirit. The evil spirit couldn't escape at all. It tried its best to resist, and the black light net it created was completely destroyed by the wind of destruction. It couldn't even hold on for a few seconds. It was destroyed by the wind of destruction, and even the evil spirit was sent flying. After the wind of destruction disappeared, a figure fell from the sky and hit the ground. The one who fell down was the evil spirit race. He was heavily injured, and his body had been cut into several pieces. He looked terrible. He didn't die, but as long as he continued with another move, he would basically be able to kill this evil spirit race. It could be seen that Chu Suifeng's power wasn't bad. If he went all out, he could easily suppress a star venerable. Die. Chu Suifeng couldn't let Yi Tianyun be the only one in the limelight. No matter what, he had to put in some effort. If he just watched from the side, he would lose face. No matter what, he was a star venerable at the middle stage. If he was weaker than Yi Tianyun, he would lose face. Star venerable Chu, wait a moment. Let me do it. Yi Tianyun gestured for Chu Suifeng to wait. He quickly went to the evil spirit's side, grabbed the evil spirit's head, and started searching his soul. The armored lion's memories didn't change, so he didn't bother to search his soul. The evil spirit's memories were different. It was about the evil spirit situation, so he had to search it carefully. After searching for a while, he crushed the evil spirit's head and sent it to hell. He didn't even listen to the evil spirit's last words and crushed it. What you used just now was the soul-searching technique. Chu Suifeng looked similar, but not quite. More or less, it's a similar move. Yi Tianyun didn't explain too much, but his expression became more and more serious. The evil spirit race has indeed changed a lot, and the number of evil spirit race that has descended in this area is also not small. What's going on? Chu Suifeng's expression became serious. He couldn't search his soul anymore, so he could only listen to what Yi Tianyun had to say. It's a very simple situation. The evil spirit race is like the giant beast race. They are both self-evolving. They both used an extremely evil cultivation technique to transform themselves, and they also crazily extracted the star power of heaven and earth, as well as the blood essence of various living beings to achieve this. This isn't the key. The key is that they all moved out, and their goal hasn't changed. It's still to break the seal. It's just that breaking the seal has changed a little. Yi Tianyun's gaze was serious, even more serious than before. What kind of transformation technique? Aren't they all about breaking the seal? Chu Suifeng asked doubtfully. Yes, they're all about breaking the seal. It's just that their main goal isn't to break the seal, but to seal the seal. Yi Tianyun pointed to the stars above his head and said in a deep voice, "They want to seal the star Dharma idol above us, and thus prevent us from using it. At worst, it will greatly weaken our strength. At that time, our star Dharma idol's advantage will be gone. What do you think our chances of winning are?" Chapter 2302. Yi Tianyun's words shocked Chu Suifeng slightly. This was not a simple matter, but a very serious matter. They could do this? Chu Suifeng didn't quite believe it. The stars above were so vast and powerful, yet they could still seal them? That's the initial idea. I'm not sure if they can really do it. At least they really have a similar method and are already setting it up. Once it's set up, it will either be completely sealed or, as Divine Star Venerate Chu said, they won't be able to seal it, but it might weaken our effects. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice, "It will become quite troublesome if they can weaken it. At least, our advantage will become quite small. Even if the effect was weakened by 20%, it would be scary enough. There were originally only 40 to 50 cubic meters of star power. Weakening it by 20% was equivalent to losing 10 cubic meters of star power. This was quite a serious matter. Originally, when dealing with the giant beast race of the same level, with the help of star power, they would either have a slight advantage or barely be on par. Now that the star Dharma body was suppressed, their strength would be greatly reduced. It was basically impossible for them to defeat the giant beasts. However, correspondingly, after the seal, the green demon race and the evil spirit race would not be able to use the star aspect. However, they didn't care too much. Anyway, it was fine as long as all the cultivators couldn't use it. After all, In terms of numbers, there would definitely be many cultivators. They would be at a disadvantage if they couldn't use it, but if all the cultivators couldn't use it, it would be even worse, especially if they cooperated with the giant beast race. They could suppress the cultivators. At the Divine Star Venerate level, they would really be invincible. The top has to seal, and the bottom has to break the seal. If we do both at the same time, which side can we take into account? Chu Suifeng shook his head and smiled bitterly. They were already grinning from ear to ear if they could take care of their clans. They still had to surround them to seal the star aspect, which was even more difficult. At the end of the day, the forces here were still too weak. Their cultivations were all on the low side, and the Divine Star Venerates were too few. It was too difficult to deal with them. We can only take care of the seals of the great clans. If the seals are broken, it'll be too late. Tianyun felt that the formation I was more important. If he released dozens of Divine Star Venerables, even he would find it hard to resist. At the very least, with his current cultivation, it was impossible for him to withstand it. If his cultivation state were to continue increasing, he might be able to fend off these colossal beasts. However, from the looks of it, there was still a long way to go. The amount of star energy he lacked was astonishing. If he wanted to break through to the mid-stage Divine Star Venerable realm, he would have to kill a few more Divine Star Venerable beasts to be satisfied. It wasn't a large number, but it was still something that needed to be killed. That's all we can do. I hope their plan fails. Can they really seal such a huge star region? Chu Suifeng looked at the stars above and was in a trance. With their Divine Star Venerable cultivation, how could they do this? Tianyun felt that they could do it. Wasn't it the same when they first came up from the lower realm? They had been sealed layer by layer and were greatly restricted. Although it wasn't on the same level as the stars above the seal, there was at least a chance of success. Since the evil spirit race dared to think this way, there must be a chance of success. Otherwise, why would they be so reckless? Shortly after, they arrived at the Feng family side. Star Venerable Feng Shun's condition had improved a lot, but he was still seriously injured. It would take a long time for him to recover. Thank you for your help. Without your help, our Feng family would definitely have been destroyed. Star Venerable Feng Shun smiled bitterly and looked back at his family. It was now a mess, and a large area had been destroyed. It would take a long time for them to recover. Helping the Feng family is actually helping us, Tianyun told Star Venerable Feng Shun about the general situation. After Star Venerable Feng Shun learned about it, his face darkened. He hadn't expected such a thing to happen. So that's how it is. It seems like our Feng family's tribulation has just begun. Star Venerable Feng Shun smiled bitterly again. As long as the area they were in was still the location of the Formation Eye, they would continue to be attacked fiercely until the Formation Eye was destroyed. Star Venerable Feng Shun, what do you think? Chu Suifeng said in a deep voice. Either you retreat from this place and cooperate with our Chu clan to guard this place, or you defend this place to your death and gather some other factions to guard this place. Otherwise, once we leave this place, there will definitely be other giant beasts attacking. It is impossible to give up our Feng family. Even if we fight to the end, we will not leave this place. Star Venerable Feng Shun said with a firm look, Of course, we will not sit still and wait for death. I will gather the surrounding forces to gather here. If they don't have the Formation Eye, they will still move here. If we collectively guard this place, the effect will be much better. As a big force, the Feng family must have many vassal forces. Even if their forces were not as strong as theirs, they could at least play a little role if they were gathered. As for moving away, it was impossible. This place was their root. Unless they had no other choice, they would not choose to leave. All right then, since Star Venerable Feng Shun has such an idea, we won't say anything more. Tianya nodded and was ready to leave with Chu Suifeng to the next big family. They were now wandering around to see if there were any divine Star Venerable beasts to kill along the way. It was not easy to encounter them if they stayed here. There were definitely very few people who could act like them, who didn't stay in their family, who would leave like them, which was equivalent to putting their own family in danger. However, they were also trying to save themselves. Chu Suifeng knew the situation, so he came out to help. They would be safe if they dealt with these divine, star-venerable beasts outside. Moreover, he had already made arrangements. If something unexpected happened, he would go back immediately. Presumably, Yi Tianyin would also go back with him. All right then, thank you both. As long as we get through this, I will definitely be there if you need my help with anything. Star Venerable Feng Shun cupped his fists and expressed his gratitude. If it weren't for them, they would really be done for. After saying goodbye, the two of them left the Feng family and went directly to the next big family. Next, we will go to the Luo family. This is basically the seal of the last family. Yi Tianyin's face was solemn. They had finished one round. Chapter 2303. Yi Tianyin and Chu Suifeng immediately flew to the Hong clan's area. Like the Feng clan, the Hong clan didn't participate in the fight for the purple gold divinity pavilion. Therefore, Yi Tianyin didn't dislike this force. However, the Feng clan and the Hong clan both chose not to participate in the fight for the purple gold divinity pavilion. The purple gold divinity pavilion was obviously rich in treasures. Even a big family like the Chu clan was so enthusiastic. One could imagine how tempting the purple gold divinity pavilion was. Unfortunately, all the treasures were taken by Yi Tianyin. Even the purple gold divinity pavilion was taken away. If people found out, it would be really infuriating. Of course, with Yi Tianyin's current strength, they could only swallow their anger and accept it. Soon, they flew to the Hong clan's area. From afar, they could see that the situation was terrible. The Hong clan's area was completely shrouded in a black fog. There were no signs of fighting. As they approached, their expressions changed. It wasn't that there was no fighting at the Hong clan's area, but that the fighting had already ended. As far as the eye could see, the Hong residents had already been flattened to the ground. There was even a huge crater in the central area. One could vaguely see a few star patterns on the side, but they had already been completely destroyed, leaving only a few star patterns. This meant that the array below the Hong clan had been destroyed. From the density of the surrounding star power, they could feel that the array had been destroyed. The originally dense star power had become very ordinary, no different from the area outside. Many people are still alive. They quickly flew down. Many of them were paralyzed on the ground, seriously injured, and on the verge of death. Some of them were slightly better off, only slightly injured. Most of them ended up dead. This was too tragic. It could be said that the Hong clan had been destroyed. So many elite disciples were gone. Even if there were some genius disciples left, the Hong clan's foundation was gone. It would be extremely difficult for them to rise again. They waved their hands and saved some of the injured disciples. With the power of divine star venerables, they could not completely recover, but they could still survive. After recovering, they first expressed their gratitude, but most of them were filled with despair and unwillingness. Their eyes were lifeless, and there was not the slightest bit of life. Now that their clan was gone, where'd they go? Back in the day, the Hong family had been an extremely glorious existence. Many of them were still alive, but the situation was terrible. The patriarch and the like were all gone. How could they rebuild the Hong family? Yi Tianyin looked at their empty eyes and sighed deeply. Without their spiritual support, what motivation did they have? There were still quite a number of people alive. When the giant beasts attacked, their main priority was to destroy the formation core. Everything else was trivial. I'm afraid it will be difficult for the Hong family to rise again. Chu Suifeng sighed and looked around. It was a tragic sight. The Hong clan's clan leader and the secluded old ancestor behind him are all dead. This was the tragic state of the Hong family, but they could only endure it. Just as he finished speaking, Chu Suifeng's expression changed, and he hurriedly said, "They're attacking again. They're attacking our Chu clan in a frenzy." When Chu Suifeng wanted to rush back, Yi Tianyin stopped him and said, "Divine Star Venerate Chu, let me bring you back. Your speed isn't slow, but if you let me bring you back, it will be faster." Chu Suifeng was stunned. After thinking for a while, he nodded and said, "All right, what should I do?" "Come into my space." Yun didn't waste any time and gestured for Chu Suifeng to enter his space. He knew that Chu Suifeng's speed wasn't slow. It could even be said to be quite shocking. He originally had the power of wind. Whether it was escaping or attacking, his speed was extremely shocking. Chu Suifeng's speed was shocking. He could also travel through the void and fly to the Chu clan, but he would need at least 2 hours to arrive. This speed was already shocking, but it was still too slow. In a situation where there were many experts, 2 hours was enough to turn the Hong family into a state like this. All right, Chu Suifeng nodded and entered Yun's space. Normally, entering someone else's space was a big taboo. Just as Chu Suifeng entered, Yun waved his hand and disappeared on the spot. In the next moment, they appeared above the Chu clan. No matter how fast Chu Suifeng's speed was, it was definitely not as fast as his teleportation divine stone. In the blink of an eye, he brought Chu Suifeng above the Chu clan. With a wave of his hand, Chu Suifeng came out of the space. Chu Suifeng was a little confused. He had just entered, so why did he let him out again? When he saw the situation in front of him clearly, he was instantly dumbfounded. In just a breath's time, they had arrived at the Chu clan. However, he didn't ask much. When he saw the situation in front of him, he suddenly flew into a rage. I knew you would sneak attack. I'll kill as many as you come. In front of them, the Chu clan was being attacked by 4 divine star venerables crazily. They aimed at the Chu clan's protective shield and smashed it. In just a short while, the protective shield had serious cracks. If this continued, it would soon be broken. The strength of these 4 divine star venerable behemoths was simply too great. Just by smashing it with pure strength, they were able to shatter the barrier. Apart from the 4 divine star venerables of the giant beast race, there were no other divine star venerables. The evil spirit race and the green demon race had probably gone to seal the star Dharma Laksana. When Chu Suifeng saw them destroying his clan, he immediately erupted with all his strength. He turned into a black wind of death and pounced forward, fighting with the 4 divine star venerables. Yun didn't stop either. He once again summoned 10 star venerable level weapons, and at the same time summoned the 8-colored Emperor Dragon. The 8-colored Emperor Dragon could be said to have added another kind of thunder power, allowing him to have a stronger mastery of thunder power. Rumble. The weapons that Yun mastered had 8 different attributes. It could be said that as long as the other party's attributes weren't too extreme, he could restrain them all. As they charged over, the 4 divine star venerate behemoths quickly turned around and fought them. Since the other party had sent people over, they could only accept the challenge. Little did they know that these 2 great killing gods had killed many divine star venerables. However, I didn't know about it. They thought that they had enough numbers and could suppress them. They didn't expect that when they started fighting, some of their companions would be killed in the blink of an eye and dismembered by Yun. Such battle prowess had frightened all of them. How could there be such a monstrous cultivator? How could there be no message? They all had the same thought. With such a terrifying cultivator, they should have received the message. However, they had just discovered such a monstrous cultivator. Chapter 2304. Yun and Chu Suifeng charged over in a frenzy, especially Yun, who was basically invincible. Who could resist his violent power and the support of 10 star venerable level weapons? In a short while, 2 divine star venerable giant beasts had been easily killed. Chu Suifeng had also killed a divine star venerable giant beast. This was rather terrifying. Killing divine star venerable beasts was as easy as drinking water. Chu Suifeng's understanding of Yun was once again fiercely refreshed. He had already been greatly shocked before. Now that he saw Yun cutting down divine star venerable beasts as easily as chopping melons and vegetables, he felt a little dizzy. He had gone all out, but he had only seriously injured his opponent. He had not succeeded in killing him. This was where the gap was. It made him suspect that Yun was only at the mid-stage divine star venerable level, while he was only at the early-stage divine star venerable level. Too terrifying. What kind of guy is this? Where did he come from? The divine star venerable giant beasts retreated in fear. They were really frightened by Etianyun to the point that they couldn't take the initiative to attack anymore. If this continued, how could they fight? Quick, retreat. Retreat first. They didn't dare to continue thinking about it. They turned around and fled. If they continued to stay there, they would die. They cursed inwardly. The information they had sent their subordinates to collect was not complete. How could there be a fish that slipped through the net? And it was the biggest one at that. Who would have thought that such a powerful existence would appear? The information they had collected previously showed that he was at most at the mid-stage divine star venerable level. In order to deal with Chu Sui-feng, they had sent more divine star venerable powerhouses this time. Who would have thought that they would be slaughtered so badly? Therefore, they could only change their target and temporarily escape. When the time came, they would gather all their strength and attack again. Can you escape? Etienne's gaze turned cold. Since they had attacked, they could forget about escaping. He had set up many teleportation points here. No matter where they fled to, they could be intercepted in an instant. It wouldn't be a problem for them to run for a while and then chase after them. Swish! Etienne turned into a beam of light and chased after him. A terrifying bolt of lightning pierced through the void. With the support of the power of lightning, his speed had increased by several times, so it was easy for him to catch up to them. Almost in an instant, they arrived in front of the divine, star venerable behemoth and took out their weapons, cutting the physique that they were so proud of into pieces. He easily finished harvesting the last two divine, star venerable beasts. After killing the two divine, star venerable beasts, Etienne heaved a sigh of relief. It was finally over for the time being. These divine, star venerable giant beasts could be killed one less. According to his memory, there were only 8 divine, star venerable giant beasts. Now that they had killed most of them, it could be said that there was nothing left. The only ones left were the other divine, star venerables of the evil spirit race. It's over. Etienne turned his head to look at the other major star venerable beasts. They didn't matter anymore. Chu Sui-feng and the others could easily take care of them. Tianyan Divine Star Venerable, you're really amazing. I even suspect that you're in the late stage of the Divine Star Venerable realm. Otherwise, how could you explode with such great power? Chu Sui-feng flew over. He was shocked by Etienne's power. Fortunately, they were allies. Otherwise, he suspected that he would have been cut into pieces, especially when he saw the 10-star Venerable level treasures. They were really invincible. If he could also hold 10-star Venerable level weapons, it wouldn't be more effective than Etienne's, but at least it would be much easier to deal with them. I'm relying on my weapons. If I didn't have so many powerful weapons, I wouldn't have been able to deal with them so easily. Etienne was modest. However, he was right. Weapons played a big part. That's true. Without great power, you can't use all the weapon's power. Chu Sui-feng shook his head and went to deal with the other giant beasts. Overall, it wasn't difficult. The Chu family's defense hadn't been broken in the first place. Plus, the Chu family had many major star venerables. After they came out, it wasn't difficult to deal with them. However, Etienne felt a burning gaze staring at him from the side. This person was none other than Jing Xin. Jing Xian's gaze became hotter and hotter as she looked at him, as if she wanted to eat him up. Young master, thank you for saving the Chu family again. If it weren't for you, the Chu family would have suffered great damage. Jing Xin flew over and said gratefully, but the Chu family doesn't have any reward. Why don't I marry you? This, Miss Jing Xin, I already said that I have a wife. Thank you for your kindness. Etienne laughed dryly. Jing Xin was getting more and more daring. Her words almost made him choke. It's not a big deal for me to be a concubine. Jing Xin was throwing herself at him. Her eyes were filled with passion. She really wanted to understand Etienne's situation. So, marrying him was undoubtedly the best choice. Forget it. Thank you for your kindness. Etienne quickly waved his hand. His expression had never changed when facing so many giant beasts. Facing her like this was really frightening. Young Master E, won't you consider it? I'm not as good as your wife, but I think I can be of great help to you. Whether it's my appearance or other abilities, I can help you. Jing Xian's beautiful eyes were shining with passion. There was no lust, just pure worship. I will consider it. Tianyin laughed dryly. Instead of directly rejecting her, it was better to pretend to consider it. That way, he could explain less. If he kept rejecting her, she would definitely pester him. He didn't know why Jing Xian was so passionate, but it was not a good thing for him. Then, young master, you have to consider it carefully. Jing Xian smiled. The passion in her eyes did not diminish. The rest of the Chu family pretended not to see it. Jing Xian could do whatever she wanted. They couldn't wait for Jing Xian to marry Tianyin. Just when they thought that things were over for the time being, the ground suddenly rumbled, as if something had been broken. Zhu family's formation core has been destroyed. At this moment, Chu Suifeng hurried over. The token in his hand was flickering. It seemed that he had received the latest news. Zhu family's formation core has been destroyed. Tianyin's face sank. Didn't they already kill many divine, star-venerable beasts? How could they still have the strength to attack the Zhu family? Then I'll go take a look. Chapter 2305. After being teleported, Tianyin instantly arrived above the Zhu family. Everything had happened without warning. It had only been a short while, yet the Zhu family's formation core had already been destroyed. No matter what, the Zhu family's divine, Star Venerate wasn't trash. His cultivation was the same as Chu Suifeng's, a mid-stage divine, Star Venerate. If anyone wanted to deal with him, they would have to pay a huge price. Even if they could deal with him, Star Venerate Candle God should have been able to call for help. But now, there was no distress signal at all, and the formation I was destroyed. When he arrived, he found out what was going on. What came into view were 7 or 8 terrifying mid-stage divine, Star Venerate beasts wreaking havoc in the Zhu family. They had basically flattened the Zhu family. As for Star Venerate Candle God, he had already died in the ruins. What's going on? When he saw the 7 or 8 divine, Star Venerate beasts, his eyes narrowed. The appraisal, I quickly revealed the other party's information, primordial beasts. These beasts had the purest beast bloodlines, which meant that they weren't beasts of this era, but beasts from the primordial era. He could still feel the terrifying power from their bodies. Due to the purest bloodline power, the power they could erupt with was even stronger than the giant beasts he had evolved into. However, in terms of overall strength, the evolved beasts were definitely stronger. The evolved beasts could not only use martial arts, but they could also use weapons. In all aspects, they were indeed stronger than the primordial beasts. It was just that the primordial beasts were powerful and numerous, so the Zhu family was easily flattened. Could it be that they escaped from the seal? Tianyin had a general idea of what was going on. There was only one possibility, and that was that they had escaped from a seal. If they had always existed, the divine Star Venerate would have long since had they existed. Therefore, the only possibility was that they had escaped from a seal. In a situation where the array I was destroyed, the seal would definitely become very weak. It was very normal for giant beasts to rush up from below. Now that another formation core had been destroyed, it meant that more beasts would rush up from below. Roar! They immediately noticed Tianyin and roared at him before pouncing towards him. 8 primordial giant beasts charged forward at once, and their cultivations were all at the divine, Star Venerable middle stage. They were truly incomparably powerful. No wonder the Zhu family was flattened. With this kind of power, who could resist? Not to mention the Zhu family. Even the Chu family would be easily trampled. Kill! Tianyin took a deep breath and gathered all his strength. Crazy mode, activate. Burning heavens, set, activate. Star Dharma idol, activate. All of Tianyin's power was unleashed. Facing 8 ancient beasts, he didn't dare to be careless at all, especially when they pounced at him without the slightest hesitation. How could he dare to relax? As the 8-colored Emperor Dragon erupted, layers of star aspect began to flash behind it. High up in the sky, a red halo suddenly appeared, followed by a heavenly star, scarlet wolf, galloping down. Terrifying flames engulfed the surroundings, dyeing the sky red. This was the unique star aspect that Eteon had previously obtained. After he used it, his strength increased greatly, and a thick layer of flame shell appeared on his body. Apart from flames, the effect of the heavenly star Scarlet Wolf was also a kind of sharp speed. Red fur began to emerge all over his body, and his eyes turned red. The flames around him began to condense. It could be said that all the flames in this area were under his control. Compared to the fire attribute that the 8-colored Emperor Dragon could control, it was much stronger. The heavenly star, Scarlet Wolf, specialized in controlling the power of flames, and it was the Emperor of Flames. As the flames condensed, Eteon was like the Emperor of Flames. The flames surrounding him could burn through the void. Apart from the heavenly star Scarlet Wolf, he also stacked the Starlight Deity and the others that he had previously obtained. Facing so many giant beasts, he had to be cautious. Terrifying energies layered on top of each other. These giant ancient beasts were not afraid at all, and they still charged over, as if they had seen nothing. This was the reason why Eteon had gone all out. Besides terrifying power, these giant ancient beasts were not afraid of any power, and they would fight until the end. As long as they were still breathing, they would keep fighting back. Therefore, he had to use his strongest power directly to kill them all in one breath. Otherwise, it would be his turn to die. After using his power, he flew over immediately. 10-star venerable level weapons were thrown over at these giant ancient beasts. He flickered in the air like a ghost, and in the next second, he appeared in front of one of the giant ancient beasts. He slashed at it fiercely with his 10 knives. Numerous wounds appeared on the giant ancient beast immediately. It seemed that there were only 10 weapons, but when he slashed at it, there were countless knife radiances flying toward the giant ancient beast. The giant ancient beast was heavily injured by the terrifying knife attack. After letting out a cry, it fell. With a dong sound, it fell heavily on the ground and created a deep pit. This giant ancient beast was not dead. It was only heavily injured. If it had been the divine, star venerable giant beast he had dealt with before, it would have been killed by a single knife attack. It had to be said that the bodies of the giant ancient beasts were really tough. They were not on the same level at all. However, Eteon did not stop. He immediately chased after it. Before the other giant ancient beasts could catch up, he turned into a red shooting star and smashed it heavily. Boom! The giant ancient beast that had smashed on the ground was completely killed. It turned into a bloody mist and exploded on the ground. It was relatively easy for him to kill an ancient giant beast just like that. He had attacked it fiercely with all his strength. If he still could not kill it like that, it would be really difficult. Roar! The giant ancient beasts behind him were not afraid when they saw their companions killed. Instead, they were completely infuriated. All of a sudden, they were like tens of thousands of horses galloping in the air. The whole world was shaking because of them. Their violent power was too nature-defying. It was enough to shake the whole world by relying on pure power. It's time to end you. Eteon's gaze turned cold, and he said in a deep voice, "Break through." Ding. After deducting star energy, you have successfully broken through to the mid-stage divine star venerable realm. After killing the giant ancient beast, he had finally accumulated enough star energy, which meant that he could finally break through. Facing so many giant ancient beasts, breaking through was undoubtedly the best way to strengthen his own power. Sure enough, after breaking through, he felt his power increase greatly. The star power above his head once again rushed up violently. Star power from 5 directions. Chapter 23:06. After the breakthrough, Eteon's basic values had increased greatly, and his explosive power had increased even more. Boom! The ancient giant beasts that were attacking Eteon were sent flying. There were 4 ancient giant beasts that were attacking Eteon, and they were like 4 terrifying mountains that were pressing down on Eteon. However, it was not Etienne who had been sent flying, but the four ancient giant beasts. After they had been sent flying, the worst one had been seriously injured, while the lightest one had many deep cuts on his body. In just a single exchange, four ancient giant beasts were sent flying. On the other hand, Etienne had only been slightly injured, but he was still ferocious. 10-star venerable level treasures were not easy to deal with. Most importantly, his cultivation had not broken through for nothing. He had just sent four ancient giant beasts flying, and he was about to confront three more. However, the result was the same. Etienne still dashed over. After another fierce attack, the three ancient giant beasts had also been sent flying. This time, the situation was even more tragic. One of the ancient giant beasts had been dismembered. It was not completely dead, but had been seriously injured and had basically lost its fighting capacity. The other two ancient giant beasts had also been sent flying. They fell on the ground like giant meteorites and created a giant pit. They were also in a terrible situation. Their bodies were full of wounds, and some of the wounds had almost cut them into pieces. They had been sent flying by Etienne after two successive attacks. On the other hand, he had only been slightly injured. His dreadful power had shocked the giant beasts around him. Even the ancient giant beasts, who had not been afraid of death, looked frightened, let alone the giant beasts around him. The cultivator in front of them had confronted them head-on, without any tricks, and they had been defeated. Compared to the previous attacks, he was much stronger, which was incredible to them. Growl! The 8-colored emperor dragon's growls shook the sky and the earth. Their growls spread far and wide, and their eyes were filled with fear and anger. Although the 5-color emperor dragon had changed a lot, it was still the foundation of the 5-color emperor dragon. Therefore, they could all recognize that the one in front of them was their mortal enemy from a long time ago. Unexpectedly, the fear that had dominated them in the past had descended upon them once again. Die! Die! They were a little afraid of Etienne's power, but they had been sealed for so many years they couldn't just run away like that, and they couldn't possibly not attack their enemy. Therefore, after they roared in anger, they once again pounced towards Etienne. Even though they were covered in wounds, they still charged towards Etienne. This was enough to show how furious they were. No matter how strong Etienne was, they would still attack him. Good timing. Etienne's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. In his current state, he would kill as many as they came. Killing a few more would allow him to obtain a generous amount of star energy, allowing him to continue raising his cultivation to the late stage of the divine star venerable realm. There were so many powerful ancient beasts in front of him. They were like plump sheep that he was more than happy to harvest. He really didn't care about giant beasts with low cultivation. They didn't have much value to him. Boom! Etienne clashed with him again, and quite a few ancient beasts were sent flying. One of them was easily killed by Etienne. Boom! Etienne clashed with him again and successfully killed another ancient beast. Every time he clashed with them, he would successfully kill an ancient beast. 1, 2, 3. The ancient beasts were killed one after another, and they became more and more afraid. Their cultivation was clearly the same, so why was there such a huge difference? They were ancient beasts, and after being sealed underground for so many years, not only had they not become weaker, but they had also become stronger. Hatred made them stronger and more terrifying. However, this kind of power couldn't cause any trouble in front of Etienne. They would only be defeated one by one. When he killed the last ancient beast, it revealed a look of fear. This time, it really didn't have anyone to fight anymore. Its companions were all dead, and it was the only ancient beast left. Its body was full of wounds, and it couldn't even fight back. You're the last one left. It's time to end this battle. Etienne exhaled. He had finally cleared this place, and there was only one ancient beast left in front of him. Immediately, he turned into a flowing light and fiercely attacked. With a dong, the ancient beast was completely killed. 8 incomparably powerful ancient giant beasts were successfully killed just like that. Most importantly, Under the situation where their cultivation was the same, he was able to crush them. This was what the ancient beasts couldn't understand. They had always been proud of their strength, but who knew that in front of Tianyun, it was as if they had lost their power. He easily broke through their defenses, and terrifying power surged in through their wounds and exploded in their bodies. This kind of terrifying power was difficult for them to resist, especially the power of the 8-colored Emperor Dragon and the Star Scarlet Wolf. They were the real main force. It's over. Tianyun looked around. Many giant beasts had retreated out of fear. None of them had the nerve to approach such a killing god. Just when he thought everything was over, the ground suddenly began to shake. In the distance, a huge pillar of light suddenly appeared, and a group of huge figures emerged from it. As expected, they came out again. These figures must be the ancient giant beasts. The Zhu family's formation had been destroyed, and the seal had also loosened a bit. Naturally, more ancient giant beasts would come out. After the ancient giant beasts came out, they roared and dashed over. They had all sensed that their companions had been killed. How could they let go of Tianyun? Therefore, as soon as they came out, they pounced on Tianyun, intending to trample him flat. Good timing. I'll kill as many as you come. Tianyun's eyes were ice cold. He was holding 10-star venerable level weapons in his hands. At the moment, many of the sharp blades of the 10-star level weapons were cracked. It could be seen how hard those giant beasts were. If they had not been strengthened by power, they would have been broken by just hacking. Heavenly Cloud Divine, Star Venerable, we're here to help you. At this moment, some familiar figures flew over. They were Mei Qing Divine, Star Venerable, Jean Elan, and the others. They had helped their own forces, so they naturally had to hurry over. They didn't have formation eyes, so they could leave their forces temporarily to help the cartoon. The Chu family and the Feng family couldn't come for the time being. They would rather stay in their families than come. Chapter 2307. Tianyun nodded when he saw so many divine star venerates coming to help. Although their cultivations were not very high, he still admired them for having this kind of awareness. Finally, there was a batch of powerful beings that could stand against the colossal beast race. This time, it's not so simple. Those are ancient beasts that have been sealed underground for a long time. It's extremely difficult to deal with them. You have to be careful. Tianyun reminded them. Use your movement techniques to avoid them. Don't fight them head-on. Tianyun can play like this, but if they play like this, it's very easy for them to die. Not only were their cultivation bases low, but their physiques weren't as strong as the giant beasts. We all know this. We'll try our best to resist some ancient beasts and share some of the pressure for you. The only one with real combat power is you. Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing smiled bitterly. They had been watching Tianyun's battle from the sidelines. They wanted to come over and help, but seeing Tianyun fight so freely, they didn't dare to come over and help. Sometimes, helping would only make things worse. It was better to watch from the sidelines and take action when they were needed at the critical moment. If they casually interfered, it would only become more and more chaotic, and they would end up making a fool of themselves. Now that they had come over, they were purely helping. They would intercept as many beasts as they could. It was better than just watching from the sidelines. It had to be said that Tianyun's growth speed exceeded Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing's expectations. At first, he was full of resentment towards Tianyun, feeling that his freedom was restricted. Now, it seemed that as long as he hung out with Tianyun, he would be able to live a good life. Tianyun's growth speed had surpassed him in an instant. Wouldn't he break through to the late-stage Divine Star Venerate after a while? In that case, it wouldn't be him protecting Tianyun, but Tianyun protecting him. Yes, this is the only way. Tianyun shook his head. Scarlet Moon Planet's situation was too terrible. There weren't many Divine Star Venerables, and the truly powerful Divine Star Venerables had all left Scarlet Moon Planet. They didn't know that there was such a bomb buried in Scarlet Moon Planet, so they all left Scarlet Moon Planet. If he knew, he probably wouldn't have left. Of course, there would definitely be some who would leave. It was already difficult for them to improve in this place. Continuing to stay here was just a waste of time. If all the divine star venerates returned, then they wouldn't be the only ones resisting. There would be a large group of divine star venerates. At that time, he would be able to crush these giant beasts. Now, they could only hand it over to Etianyan. However, he was more than happy to take care of this. This was a large amount of star energy, so how could he let this opportunity slip by? Roar! A group of ancient beasts rushed over, their numbers increasing. 1, 2, 3. This time, there were even more of them than the first batch. In the end, they saw a total of 12 of them. Facing such a terrifying aura, even divine star venerates like them couldn't help but turn pale. This aura was too powerful, much stronger than theirs. The most terrifying thing was that among these 12 ancient beasts, one of them had a cultivation as strong as a late-stage divine star venerate. This was heaven-defying. They were all mid-stage divine star venerates, which was already extremely frightening. Now, a late-stage divine star venerate ancient beast had appeared. This was simply terrifying. Late-stage divine star venerate, as expected, Etienne's gaze turned cold. He knew that the ancient beast sealed underground definitely had late-stage divine star venerate existences. With so many mid-stage divine star venerate ancient beasts, it was impossible that there weren't late-stage divine star venerate ancient beasts, right? Fortunately, there is only one late-stage divine star venerate ancient beast. If there were any more, it would be quite troublesome. Just as they were preparing to fight to the death, beams of light suddenly rushed out from underground and enveloped these ancient beasts. Beast, don't be impudent. Following that, the ground began to split open, and huge coffins popped out from underground. Following that, the coffins exploded, and figures appeared in front of everyone. These people looked like cultivators, but their bodies were clearly corpses. There was not a trace of blood on them, nor was there any aura of life. After they popped out, they immediately erupted with their strongest power, enveloping these ancient beasts and easily locking them in place. Etienne's gaze swept across them. These powerhouses that rushed out were all mid-stage divine star venerates, and there were even late-stage divine star venerates. Moreover, there were a total of 8 of them. After they appeared, they immediately locked onto a large group of divine star venerate ancient beasts. Among them, the late-stage divine star venerate ancient beasts were completely trapped, unable to escape from the light beams for the time being. Lord Five-Colored Emperor Dragon's inheritor. As they sealed the beasts, they turned to look at Etianyan and revealed gratified smiles. Etianyan also looked at them, feeling a little more shocked in his heart. The cultivation of these reinforcements wasn't weak. However, they weren't truly living people, but living dead. After they appeared, they began to burn their own lives. After this battle, they would die completely. They were sealing their last bit of life to maintain themselves until now. This method was probably done by people who were about to die, using a secret technique to seal themselves in a coffin while they still had one breath left. When they were needed, they would come out of the coffin and burn their last bit of life. In the end, the Death Clan was the kind that couldn't be saved. Burning one's soul like that couldn't be resurrected. However, they had chosen such an extreme method in order to suppress these ancient giant beasts. There were so many ancient beasts that they couldn't easily kill before they were sealed. They could only choose to seal them and wait for experts to appear in the future to kill them. Who knew that as time passed, this matter would gradually be forgotten? Who would still remember this matter? As a result, after the eruption, there were no more experts to support them. Inheritor of the Five-Colored Emperor Dragon, how about fighting together? One of the handsome men smiled at him. Of course, no problem. Etianyan smiled and charged forward with them. It wasn't just him. Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing and the others also charged forward. With so many experts helping them, at least the pressure wouldn't be as great as before. Ancient beasts, this is our final battle. Even if we die, we'll drag you to hell with us. They roared angrily, their auras soaring into the sky as they charged toward the ancient beasts. Chapter 23:08. With the help of powerhouses, Etienne's burden was undoubtedly much easier. Even without the help of these powerhouses, Etienne believed that he could still get rid of them. The problem was that it would take a lot of time. If the other party swarmed over, and there were even late-stage divine, venerable ancient behemoths interfering, they would not be easy to deal with. They would have to wander around in order to kill them one by one. Things were different now. He had a lot of help. This way, Etienne could deal with them one by one, which would undoubtedly be much easier and faster. This way, he could get rid of these divine, venerable ancient behemoths as quickly as possible. Roar! These ancient behemoths roared and madly rammed the light screen, trapping them, trying to escape from it. But how could the light screen set up by these divine generals be so easily broken? Apart from the late-stage divine, venerable ancient behemoth, the others would have to expend some effort to break it. Dong, dong, dong. As the late-stage divine, venerable ancient behemoth madly rammed into it, the light screen trapping it began to crack like a spider web. Under the continuous barrage of attacks, the light curtain finally shattered with a loud bang. I'll kill you all. The late-stage divine, venerable ancient behemoth spat out the human language and charged toward the divine generals with bloodshot eyes. When enemies met, their eyes would burn with hatred, especially when they were enemies from the ancient times. This hatred had been suppressed for a long time. When the two met, they immediately started fighting. This time, let us properly settle old scores and finish our unfinished battle. The divine generals were in high spirits and charged toward the ancient behemoth without hesitation. Their morale was at its highest. Boom! The battle started quickly. They kept charging in the air, attacking again and again, causing the sky to change color. The power that erupted from a late-stage divine, venerable ancient behemoth was shocking. However, what was even more shocking was Etienne. Etienne took advantage of this gap and quickly charged toward the ancient behemoth on the side. Just like before, he brandished the 10-star venerable weapons and slashed down. The ancient behemoths that were enveloped by the light pillars had no way of dodging. They could only defend within the light pillars. Under such circumstances, Etienne slashed down crazily, and the ancient giant beast was directly chopped into several pieces. The swift swordsmanship continued to transform into sword flowers on the ancient giant beast's body, cutting its powerful physique into countless pieces. Not to mention his body, even his soul had been shredded into powder. He was dead beyond dead. Every move was a sure kill, absolutely not leaving even half a breath of life. We've dealt with the first one. Let's start the second one. Etienne flew to the next trapped ancient beast. Killing them was undoubtedly an easy choice. Mei Qing's celestial venerable and the others also aimed at the trapped ancient giant beasts. It was easier to attack the trapped ancient giant beasts. After a round of fierce attacks, those ancient giant beasts had a few wounds that were so deep that their bones could be seen. Mei Qing Shun and the other venerables didn't have so many venerable level weapons, but one was enough. Under the fierce attacks, they could still inflict a lot of damage. Especially when the other party couldn't dodge, they could easily aim at some weak points and attack fiercely. However, compared to Etienne's moves, they were still much weaker. Etienne could kill an ancient giant beast with one move. Even if they used all their strength, they could only seriously injure them. There was still a long way to go before they could kill them. Etienne Divine Venerable is really powerful. This is simply nature-defying. After Mei Qing Shun and the others saw this, they couldn't help but exclaim. They also increased the strength of their attacks. Since Etienne was so desperate, they couldn't relax. They also used all their strength to attack fiercely. We've dealt with the second one. Let's start with the third one. Etienne's harvesting speed didn't slow down. He slashed madly all the way. When the other divine generals saw this scene, they were also shocked. They hadn't expected the five-colored Emperor Dragon's inheritor to be so powerful. Ancient giant beasts of the same level were also hacked to death. If it had been them, they wouldn't have been able to do this. He was too powerful. This inheritor is really powerful. We can't fall behind either. Their Star Dharma idols were activated. One after another, Grade 5 and Grade 6 Star Dharma idols emerged from their bodies and fought fiercely with the other ancient giant beasts. However, the most difficult one to deal with was the late-stage divine, Star Venerable Ancient Giant Beast. There were a total of 8 divine generals. 4 of them were stopped, and there were even late-stage divine, Star Venerable Divine generals among them. One could imagine how nature-defying these ancient giant beasts were. This was related to the situation of the divine generals. They were all living dead and didn't have the vitality of living people. Once they came back to life and fought, they would only get weaker and weaker, not stronger and stronger. Even so, they weren't that easy to deal with. Years of tacit understanding allowed them to constantly move around and attack, leaving heavy wounds on the ancient giant beasts. If this continued, it wouldn't be the ancient giant beasts that won, but them. The other 4 divine generals were also in good shape. They couldn't compare to Yi Tianyun's instant kill, but they could also take on an ancient giant beast. Given some time, they would definitely be able to kill it. As the ancient giant beasts became fewer and fewer, their situation became more and more irritable. They knew that if they continued to die like this, they really wouldn't be able to destroy the other formation eyes. With so many experts here, how could they destroy the formation eyes? Retreat. The late-stage divine, Star Venerable Ancient Giant Beast immediately gave the order to retreat, temporarily giving up on the battle here. When these living dead were truly dead, they would fight again. These divine generals were destined to die the moment they appeared. They were already in a state that couldn't be tolerated by heaven and earth. It was already very good that they could last until now. Hence, from the moment they came out of their coffins, they kept disappearing. Even if they didn't fight, they would gradually disappear until they were completely destroyed. As such, as long as the ancient giant beasts escaped and hid for a while, they would be able to counterattack after this batch of divine generals died. This was a little different from the previous situation where they didn't fear death. It wasn't that they were afraid, but that they had chosen a safer method. You still want to retreat? Impossible. The divine generals roared angrily, preparing to charge forward with all their might. If they really let the ancient giant beasts escape, they would also be finished. Just as they were about to chase after them, pitch-black chains suddenly appeared in the starry sky above them, binding them up one by one, trying to lock down the starry sky. This is when Yi Tianyun saw the situation in the starry sky. His expression instantly changed. Chapter 2309. Yi Tianyun believed that the evil spirit race wouldn't be able to complete sealing the star aspect in a short period of time. Who knew that it would come so suddenly? Several pitch-black chains suddenly appeared in the starry sky above, locking down the sky. Perhaps it didn't lock down all the major thousand realms. At least the star aspect in this area had already been locked down. Pitch-black chains locked the Dharma idol in place. First one, then a second. When the 5th pitch-black chain connected, the star aspect of some god generals suddenly turned into countless starlight and disappeared with a bang. At the same time, their star power was greatly weakened, and their combat strength was cut by a large margin. Without the star aspect, their combat strength was basically terrifyingly weak. This was just like Mei Qing Divine Star Venerate back then. Without the star aspect, their combat strength was extremely weak. It could even be described as terrible, so much so that Yi Tianyun could fight above his level and successfully win. Unless there was a huge gap in cultivation, it was basically impossible to win against an opponent of the same level without the star aspect, unless the other party was stupid and allowed the attacks to continue. Soon, the 6th pitch-black chain locked down the starry sky once again. The 6th one was a little more difficult, so he could barely lock it down. The moment it was locked, all the level 6 star Dharma images collapsed, just like the level 5-star Dharma images from before. It was very obvious that each pitch black chain was equivalent to locking down a level 6 star aspect. The sixth pitch black chain that appeared now was locking down the level 6 star aspect. At this moment, all the god generals and even the divine star venerates lost their star aspects. Without the star aspect, it meant that their combat strength was greatly weakened. Etienne's star aspect was not affected, and he could still use it. However, its power was also greatly weakened, roughly 1/5 of its original level. With his current star aspect, even if it was weakened by 1/5, it would be equivalent to losing more than a dozen levels of star power. The impact was quite significant. He was still considered good. At least he could still use the star aspect. As for the rest, he couldn't even use the star aspect. How could he fight? More importantly, the starry sky above them hadn't stopped locking onto them. Another pitch-black chain began to lock down bit by bit, trying to lock down even the last unique Dharma form of stars. It was just that this process was too slow. It could even be described as difficult as moving bit by bit. Based on this situation, it was basically impossible to succeed. Even if it did not succeed, the evil spirit race could still be considered to have succeeded. The 6th grade star Dharma idol was locked down, and a large number of combat forces were gone just like that. Looking up, all the divine generals and divine star venerables seemed to be mute, unable to use any star Dharma. His combat prowess fell by a large margin. His attacks on the primordial behemoth did not even leave a scratch on it. What's going on? They were all stunned. The star Dharma idol had suddenly disappeared, and they couldn't summon it even if they wanted to. It was as if they had lost contact with it. How were they supposed to fight under such circumstances? The huge eyes of the primordial beasts, which had wanted to escape, were filled with joy. They had not expected such a situation to occur. Kill them all. They roared and pounced towards them. Taking advantage of the fact that the other party had lost their strongest combat force, they quickly counterattacked and destroyed them. This time, it was finally their home ground. Without the star Dharma idol, these cultivators were nothing. Get out of my way. The primordial behemoth charged over, sending divine star venerables and the others who had intercepted them flying. They could not resist such a violent force at all. How were they supposed to resist after losing more than half of their strength? Originally, they could still resist for a while. Now, not only was there a gap in their cultivation, but they also lost their star Dharma idol. You stupid cultivators! Now, it's our turn to fight back. Without the star Dharma idol, you are nothing. The primordial beasts laughed loudly and attacked the other cultivators in a frenzy. For a moment, the cultivators lost their advantage. They were all defenseless, unable to resist the fierce attacks of the primordial beasts. Dying. Suddenly, a figure landed heavily and cut an primordial behemoth in half. Before the primordial behemoth could recover, another round of crazy slashes and countless saber lights flashed. Following that, the primordial behemoth was completely killed. If you want to counterattack, you'll have to pass through me first. Etienne's eyes were ice cold. He waved the 10-star venerable weapons in his hands. Even though a lot of his strength had been sealed, he still had the star Dharma idol, and he could still erupt with great power. When the primordial behemoth saw him, they felt a chill in their hearts. They had almost forgotten about this freak. He had a unique star Dharma idol, and it was extremely powerful. How are they supposed to deal with him? Let me kill him. The divine star venerable behemoth roared angrily and charged towards Etienne. Since he could not deal with Etienne at the same level, how could he not deal with Etienne when his cultivation was higher? After a series of collisions, the divine generals in the surroundings were sent flying, and they suffered serious injuries. Their bodies had problems, and it would take a long time for them to recover. Moreover, they would need a lot of energy to recover, especially when they were in a state of the living dead. By the time they recovered, who knew how much time they would have wasted? Oh no, the inheritor is in danger. They panicked. Everything had been going so smoothly. Who would have thought that the star Dharma idol would suddenly disappear? This put them in a very passive position. Don't worry, leave it to me. Eteonyon was not afraid at all. Even if the primordial behemoth was a level stronger than him, he was not afraid. Boom! Eteonyon immediately exchanged a blow with the primordial behemoth. A destructive power exploded in the air, and the two figures bounced back. They had exchanged a simple blow, but it was a tie. It's really tough. The star venerable weapon in Eteonyon's hand was a little blunt. The primordial behemoth, which had a stronger cultivation, had an even more terrifying armor on its surface. The divine star venerable behemoth on the other side was also very shocked. It had not expected that Eteonyon would still be so powerful after his strength had been weakened. So what if he can hold me back now? What about the others? Can you help them? The primordial behemoth showed a mocking look. The others did not have any resistance against the primordial behemoth. Who said I can help? Eteonyon's eyes flickered. Then a figure rushed out of his body and charged at the primordial behemoth next to him. Boom! A flowing light shot out, and the primordial behemoth was blasted into pieces. When the crowd saw it clearly, they found that it was another Eteonyon. This Eteonyon was naturally a clone from a long time ago. After a series of resources, this clone's cultivation had also reached the terrifying divine star venerable middle stage. Most importantly, he could also use the unique star Dharma idol, and he also had 10 star venerable weapons. He was simply a copy. Chapter 23:10. The other clone of Eteonyon launched another round of fierce attacks. Maybe this clone couldn't exert any crazy mode, nor could it exert other powers. But the clone could use its unique star Dharma Laksana, and it could use 10 star venerable weapons. It was enough for it to crush other beings at the same level. After the clone attacked, it quickly launched a fierce attack in all directions. The ancient giant beasts were beaten back one after another, and some were even seriously injured by the fierce attacks. In just a short period of time, he had almost killed an ancient giant beast. Such a terrifying power was really shocking. Especially in this desperate environment, it was especially dazzling. He hadn't expected Eteonyon to have such a shocking trump card. With an extra clone, the effect was completely different. How about now? Can you focus on fighting with me? Eteonyon sneered and continued to clash with the late-stage divine, star venerable ancient giant beast, attacking it crazily. Even though its power had been weakened, its powerful fighting power was still able to fight evenly with the ancient giant beast. As for the rest of the battle, he would let his clone take care of it. His doppelganger truly belonged to the state of killing gods and Buddhas as it charged forward in a frenzy. After a period of time, accompanied by a furious roar, an ancient giant beast fell. Before long, another ancient behemoth perished. Some of the beasts weren't killed by Eteonyon's clone. They were heavily injured by some of the ancient giant beasts, and the rest of the divine star venerables besieged them, taking advantage of their injuries to kill them. Hence, the speed of killing them was slightly increased. Boom! After a series of fierce attacks, the two figures bounced apart once again. I didn't expect you to have a clone. That's unexpected. But what's the point? The ancient giant beast revealed a disdainful look and once again clashed with Eteonyon. After separating once again, it sneered and said, "Even if you can stop me and some of my clansmen, how many can you stop in the overall situation?" At that moment, the sky was filled with giant beasts, madly rushing in all directions. These were all ordinary members of the giant beast clan. In a situation where they could crush cultivators of the same level as them without the star Dharma idol, wouldn't they be invincible? This was indeed the case. It could be said to be an all-around suppression. Cultivators without the star Dharma form had no advantage at all. A late-stage Great Star Venerable would probably be able to put up a fight against an early-stage Divine Star Venerable. Moreover, there were very few Divine Star Venerables on the Scarlet Moon planet, so they couldn't stop them at all. Eteonyon's face darkened. He couldn't deny that the ancient giant beast was right. If this continued, Scarlet Moon planet would definitely be conquered. At that time, even if they survived, Scarlet Moon Star would basically be plowed to the ground, which was equivalent to being occupied by ancient beasts. Moreover, the key point was that when the other formation eyes were destroyed, more ancient giant beasts would come out. At that time, would Eteonian be able to resist them? Speechless, foolish humans. Do you really think that just because you have some ability, you can change the entire situation? From the beginning, you didn't have the slightest chance of victory. The ancient giant beasts laughed loudly. They had just come up from below, but they quickly learned the details of the situation from their clansmen and knew who they were working with. Now that the two clans were working together, they had indeed provided perfect assistance and sealed off this part of the starry sky. Only the unique Star Dharma idol could use the Star Dharma idol. In the entire Scarlet Moon planet, only Eteonian and Jingxian could use it. However, two fists were no match for four hands. No matter how hard they fought, they probably couldn't stop so many giant beasts. Now that they had used all their trump cards, all the hidden divine star venerables had come out, and even the divine generals buried underground had been mobilized. Unless they had external help, Scarlet Moon Planet would definitely be destroyed. No, there's still hope. Eteonian didn't give up easily. Instead, he turned his attention to the good and evil system. He had a lot of good and evil points now, tens of thousands of them. However, due to time constraints, he hadn't had the chance to draw a reward. Moreover, he had enough for now, so he was in no hurry to draw a reward. Now, he was extremely eager to draw a special divine skill, which was the doppelganger skill. It was a doppelganger skill that existed a long time ago, but after he came up here, these divine skills had all disappeared. If one's ability couldn't keep up, they could only be eliminated. Now, he wanted the enhanced version of the doppelganger skill. Not to mention how many doppelgangers he could create. As long as he could create 2 or 3 more, it would be of great help. Right now, one doppelganger could already fight against many ancient giant beasts. What if he could create 2 or 3 more? Then, the entire situation might be changed. The third stage requires 10,000 good and evil points. Draw, ding, 10,000 good and evil points deducted. Starting to draw reward. After it was activated, the good and evil system started to flash, flashing back and forth between divine skills and pills. Until the end, he didn't know what kind of reward he would get. At the same time, Eteonian activated the luck halo, maximizing its effect. He did it all so that he could draw a doppelganger-type divine skill. Not to mention the doppelganger-type divine skill, it would be good enough if he could draw something related to it. Quick, draw the doppelganger-type divine skill for me. Eteonian screamed at his heart. He only had one chance. The next stage required 100,000 good and evil points, which he was far from reaching. Killing an ancient giant beast would only give him 1,000 kill points. This meant that to get 100,000 good and evil points, he needed to kill 100 of them. Even after killing all of them, he still hadn't reached 100,000 good and evil points. Therefore, he only had one chance. If he missed it, it would be hard for him to get another one. It could be said that this was his last chance to turn the tables. If he couldn't get it, he would be in big trouble. Maybe if he dragged it out, he could still draw another reward. But by then, it would be too late. The array would probably be destroyed. How could he resist then? Very quickly, the flashing stopped. Under Eteonian's shout, he didn't stop at the divine skill, but at the bloodline. Bloodline. Eteonian's heart skipped a beat. He's afraid that it's over. Could it be that there was a doppelganger bloodline in the bloodline? Of course, there was no doppelganger bloodline. Very quickly, the true face of the bloodline was revealed in front of him. Divine soul bloodline. What divine soul bloodline? Eteonian was dumbfounded. It was the same bloodline. Ding. As there is already a divine soul bloodline, it has been upgraded by 2 levels. Ding. Successfully upgraded divine soul bloodline to level 4. Level 4 divine soul bloodline. Able to control all vengeful spirits within the divine star venerable level and control them to fight against enemies. This level 4 divine soul bloodline. When Eteonian saw the details, he was completely stunned. It seemed that there was always a way out. Chapter 23:11. Heaven never bars one's way. He had originally wanted to draw the clone divine skill. This might not have been the clone divine skill, and it might have been a bloodline from before. It seemed useless, but in reality, it had even greater uses. If it were anyone else, without some special abilities, there would basically be no effect. However, he had the corresponding ability, so the significance was different. This special ability was the Door of Death. He had to open the Door of Death and release the vengeful spirits in order to bring out the greatest effect. The effect of the level 4 Divine Spirit Bloodline could actually control vengeful spirits. This was an outcome he had not expected. If he had known, he would have risen fiercely. However, the amount of star energy required was rather shocking, and to be honest, it might not have been enough. Now, he did not need any star energy. He could directly spend his kill points to draw the Divine Spirit Bloodline. He now knew that there was such a special ability behind the Divine Spirit Bloodline. Heaven never bars one's way. Very well, today will be the day you die. Etienne's eyes flickered with joy. There was no despair, only hope. Still try to be brave when death is at hand. The disdain in the primordial beast's eyes intensified. It felt that Etienne was struggling on his deathbed and that it was meaningless. Don't worry, only you will die. Etienne smiled. The next moment, he disappeared from where he was, causing the primordial beast's attack to miss. What's going on? He disappeared? The primordial beast was stunned. Then it looked around and became vigilant. It suspected that Etienne had used some special technique to hide his figure. What kind of technique is this? It's so special that even I can't detect it. Its aura quickly erupted, spreading to a large area nearby. It locked onto every inch of the area, not even letting a speck of dust escape. All of this was too strange. It suddenly disappeared from before its eyes without any warning, leaving it feeling extremely shocked. It carefully thought about what Etienne had said before. They would be the ones to die. Could he be using a killing move? Not only the primordial beast, but even the other divine star venerables were stunned. How could he suddenly disappear? Where'd he go? Or was it really some supreme killing move? While the ancient behemoth was on high alert, Etienne had already arrived at the death dimension. As soon as he entered, he was immediately enveloped by countless vengeful spirits. He couldn't open the gate of death, and he wouldn't open it anyway. This method was too dangerous. It was better to teleport in and control a large number of vengeful spirits. After gathering a large number of vengeful spirits, he would go back and release them. When the time came, he would control these vengeful spirits to attack. Everything would be perfect. The brains and souls of the giant beasts were not as strong as those of cultivators. After being devoured by so many vengeful spirits, they would be easily damaged. Their bodies were strong, but that didn't mean their souls were strong. A group of vengeful souls wailed like ghosts and howled like wolves as they pounced over. Countless vengeful souls swarmed over from the sides, wanting to devour Etienne, this living creature that had suddenly appeared. Etienne was very happy to see such crazy souls. To him, the more, the better. After all, there was still a large number of giant beasts waiting for him to destroy outside. He could not continue to procrastinate here. Very well, all of you, come over here. Etienne opened his hand, and the life aura in his body surged out crazily, dancing around outside. Many vengeful spirits seemed to have smelled blood and kept rushing over. There were already enough vengeful spirits surging over. Under such stimulation, they became even more terrifying. At this moment, he stretched out his hand and released the full power of the divine spirit bloodline in his body. After enveloping it, the vengeful spirits that approached were like docile pets, swimming around him obediently. Actually, these vengeful spirits were all under his control. He could easily control them without any pressure at all. As long as they approached his control circle, they would be obediently controlled by him. As long as one's cultivation was within the divine star venerable realm, he could easily control them, including divine star venerable ones. Among them, He had already captured 2 or 3 divine, star venerable, vengeful spirits. Everything had been so easy. Thinking back to the time when he had encountered the divine, star venerable, vengeful spirits, he had felt his hair stand on end. Now, he could easily control them. The change was not small. At that time, the divine, star venerable, vengeful spirits seemed to be telling him that he would come back in the future. Now that he had really come back, he was only here to collect vengeful spirits. As long as they were not heaven-defying vengeful spirits, he could collect them easily. In the blink of an eye, he had collected 100 great star venerable vengeful spirits, 1,000 star venerable vengeful spirits, and almost 10 divine star venerable vengeful spirits. At this rate, the number of vengeful spirits he could control would be shocking. He felt that he could control even more, but he still had to control the quantity. That was not important. He would be satisfied as long as he could control part of them. If it was not enough, he could come back and collect a large number of vengeful spirits. He happened to have the super teleportation divine stone. Even if it was a waste, it was better than the destruction of Red Moon Planet. Theoretically, the destruction of Red Moon Planet should have nothing to do with him. However, after all the ancient giant beasts were released, they would bring danger to desolate Dragon Planet. Therefore, he had to get rid of these ancient giant beasts. Otherwise, his family would be affected. At the same time, on Red Moon Planet, the ancient giant beasts still could not find Yun after searching around crazily. What's going on? Where did he hide? The ancient giant beast looked around in panic. Things that were out of its control made it feel uneasy. It did not think Yun had torn space to escape. It could definitely sense those fluctuations. But now, he had disappeared into thin air without any warning. There would be spatial fluctuations when one left by tearing space. However, there was no spatial fluctuation at all. Everything was so quiet. "I'm here, idiot." Yun's voice came from the side. The ancient giant beast turned around and stared at Yun. "Ha ha ha, you're the idiot." "What? You didn't find a good angle to launch a sneak attack? Did you give up on your killing move?" The ancient giant beast laughed at him when it saw him come out. It really thought Yun was going to launch a sneak attack on it. "Killing move? Of course I didn't give up." Yun smiled calmly and waved his hand. Countless vengeful spirits were ejected out of his space. In an instant, a black cloud crazily spread out and locked onto the giant beast clan. "Go, take revenge ruthlessly. These are all your enemies from when you were alive. Devour them all." There were so many vengeful spirits that were killed by the giant beast clan. Bringing them out now was like letting them take revenge. Chapter 23:12. Yun had released a large number of vengeful spirits that frantically rushed in all directions. Even the cultivators' expressions changed when they saw this, let alone the giant beasts. These vengeful spirits would attack anyone and would not listen to anyone's orders. This was equivalent to attacking indiscriminately. Under such circumstances, wouldn't releasing them be equivalent to letting his own people suffer? Ha! So this is your killer move. Are you sure you won't let these vengeful spirits hurt your own people? The ancient behemoth laughed mockingly. Is this what you mean by harming the enemy 1,000 times and harming yourself 800 times? The ancient behemoth had thought that Yun had some unique killer move, but who knew that he would just throw out a bunch of vengeful spirits? It had been worried for so long, but it turned out that he had thrown out so many vengeful spirits. It did not know where Yun had obtained these vengeful spirits, but releasing them like this might harm it. Under such circumstances, how could the ancient behemoth not laugh at Yun? Divine Star Venerate, what's going on? Divine Star Venerate, Mei Qing, and the others were also stunned when they saw the vengeful spirits surging out from the sky. It was undeniable that they were currently in an extremely disadvantageous state. However, Yun's killer move felt a little foolish. It would be fine if these vengeful spirits constantly attacked the giant beasts, but what was most terrifying was that they would constantly attack the cultivators. This really depended on luck. Harming the enemy 1,000 times and harming yourself 800 times? Etienne said with a smile. Unfortunately, my move only harms the enemy 1,000 times. As soon as he finished speaking, the black mass of vengeful spirits frantically rushed towards the giant beasts. They burrowed into their bodies and tried to devour their souls. For a moment, the giant beasts let out miserable cries and kept rushing around in the air. Some even attacked their own clansmen. As their souls were devoured, the intense pain made them lose their minds. They could only run around randomly. It's over. When a group of cultivators saw a bunch of vengeful spirits pouncing over, their faces turned pale and they felt despair. How could they escape with so many vengeful spirits pouncing over? Just as they were about to fight back with all their might, the souls that were surging towards them quickly split apart in midair and crazily surged in all directions. They didn't attack them at all, but instead turned to attack the giant beasts. It wasn't just these cultivators. The vengeful spirits avoided the other cultivators and only attacked the giant beasts. In an instant, the giant beasts in the surroundings were quickly entangled by the vengeful spirits. The vengeful spirits burrowed into their brains and devoured their souls to strengthen themselves. Some of the vengeful spirits had their cultivation greatly increased after eating, becoming even stronger vengeful spirits. Some of the giant beasts that had their souls devoured were possessed, while others turned into empty shells that fell from the sky and smashed heavily onto the ground, turning into soulless shells. The body did not move at all. It was not dead, but it had become an empty shell. It would not be difficult to kill it all. Such a situation made everyone dumbfounded. No one had expected such a change. Even the Death Clan couldn't do this. The Death Clan could at most control a portion of the vengeful spirits or prevent the vengeful spirits from approaching them. They definitely didn't have the ability to control so many vengeful spirits. But now, Etienne did it, releasing so many ghosts but not attacking the cultivator. There is no need to think too much about it. The reason is obvious. Etienne could control these vengeful spirits. This was an incredible ability. They didn't know how Etienne had done it, but it didn't hurt them at all. Moreover, it seemed like he was going to counterattack. The many vengeful spirits spread wildly in all directions. There were at least 10,000 vengeful spirits. There were thousands of great star venerate vengeful spirits and dozens of divine star venerates. Such high-quality vengeful spirits were shockingly powerful. Even though the vengeful spirits were relatively weak, their numbers were shocking. Their ferocious attacks were quite terrifying. I wonder what's going on now. Etienne looked at the ancient giant beast in front of him. He only needed to keep an eye on it. He would leave the rest to his clones and the other vengeful spirits. How is this possible? You can control vengeful spirits. The ancient giant beast opened its eyes wide. It was shocked by the situation in front of it. It hadn't expected Etienne to have such a chance to turn the tables. With so many vengeful spirits, even if he couldn't get rid of all the giant beasts, he could at least get rid of many of them, causing them to suffer heavy losses. In particular, some of the giant beasts could still attack after being possessed. That was quite a headache for the ancient giant beast. What's impossible? Just because you can't control them doesn't mean I can't. Etienne shrugged and looked at it with a smile. Then let's watch your companions get devoured one by one. Impossible. There's no way these vengeful spirits can kill us. The ancient giant beast roared and pounced at Etienne again. Its battle prowess rose in anger. Is that so? Let's give it a try then. Etienne wasn't afraid at all. He also clashed with the ancient giant beast, attacking wildly in midair. With the help of the vengeful spirits, the pressure on the entire Crimson Moon planet was greatly reduced. Many giant beasts were entangled and couldn't deal with the cultivators here. In particular, Etienne prioritized the formation's eyes and constantly surrounded them. What made him the happiest was that he could obtain star energy points when these vengeful spirits killed the giant beasts. This way, he could obtain star energy points even if he didn't hunt the giant beasts. Star energy points were very important to him now. Once he broke through to the late-stage divine, star venerable realm, he could easily suppress the ancient giant beast in front of him. At that time, even if his power was suppressed, he would definitely be able to suppress it after his basic stats increased. Right now, he just needed to suppress the ancient giant beast and not let it run around as it pleased. As the battle continued, the number of casualties kept rising, and more vengeful spirits were destroyed. This wasn't a big deal. After the vengeful spirits were destroyed, some would return to the death dimension to slowly recover. They weren't truly dead at all. Unless it was a more extreme attack, it would be difficult for these vengeful spirits to completely die. This was also why Tianyun was so daring to use the vengeful spirits. He wasn't afraid of dying at all. Of course, even if he really died, he would still use them. Wasn't the living better than the dead? Boom! There was another clash, and the two figures were bounced back. The ancient giant beast stared at Tianyun and laughed. Your vengeful spirits seem to be almost dead. Let's see if you can release them again this time. Tianyun sneered, and in the next moment, he disappeared in place. The ancient behemoth was stunned. Why did he suddenly disappear like before? Not long after, Tianyun returned. With a wave of his hand, countless vengeful spirits were released again. They were like black clouds that spread in all directions. Chapter 23:13. The primordial behemoth thought that Tianyun had no way to continue summoning those vengeful spirits, who knew that he would bring back a large number of vengeful spirits when he returned. These vengeful souls wreaked havoc in the surroundings. There was another dense mass of vengeful souls of great star venerables, as well as vengeful souls of divine star venerables. The familiar scene, Tianyun once again showed it to her. This scene was more than terrifying. It was simply a nightmare. It had gone to great lengths to eliminate so many vengeful spirits, and now so many more were surging out. The primordial behemoth's expression turned extremely ugly. It had originally thought that Tianyun did not have so many vengeful spirits left, who knew that so many would be released, making them feel extremely terrified. On the contrary, the cultivators cheered loudly, feeling that everything was so surprising. Previously, their expressions had changed when they saw the vengeful spirits. Now, their expressions had also changed, but they were happy expressions. With so many undead armies appearing, did they have to worry about not winning? Heavenly Cloud Divine, Star Venerate, is too amazing, creating another miracle. Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing was pleasantly surprised. He had felt that he had not followed the wrong person. Fortunately, he had wisely lowered his head, or else he would have been the one to suffer losses. As long as he followed Tianyun, did he have to worry about not becoming stronger? The other divine star venerates were equally shocked. They felt that Tianyun's ability was too strange. How do you know all kinds of techniques? They really could not understand such terrifying power. Not only was he young, but his cultivation was also so strong. Not only was his cultivation strong, but how did he even have the ability to control souls? That was something that even the Death Clan could not do, yet he could do it. Wasn't he even more heaven-defying than the Death Clan? If he could resurrect souls, that would be even more heaven-defying. As for resurrecting souls, Tianyun felt that it was possible. As long as his divine soul and bloodline were upgraded, it was really possible to resurrect them. At that time, it would be even more heaven-defying. However, it was too difficult to upgrade his divine soul and bloodline. At least for now, it was extremely difficult, and the star energy needed had to reach an extremely heaven-defying value. He did a quick check. The star energy needed to upgrade his divine soul and bloodline from level 4 to level 5 was equivalent to 3 breakthroughs. That was 3 breakthroughs from mid-stage divine, star venerable to late stage. Even if he worked himself to the bone, it would be difficult for him to accumulate enough cultivation to break through to the late-stage divine, star-venerable realm, let alone improve his soul and bloodline. The key was that it might not necessarily be that effect. It was impossible to predict the effects of the divine soul bloodline. Perhaps he could increase the number of souls he controlled and the cultivation of the vengeful souls he controlled. At that time, it wouldn't be a loss. After all, there might even be heavenly star supremes in the death dimension. Boom! After another clash, they quickly separated. After the primordial giant beast's anger subsided, it revealed a mocking smile. I admit that your abilities are not bad, but everything ends here. Do you think we don't have reinforcements just because you have reinforcements? Our reinforcements have finally arrived. At this moment, a large group of experts appeared in an area far away. Everyone took a closer look. It was the evil spirit race and the green demon race. The two races tore through the void and rushed down. They were also unable to use the Star Dharma idol, but they had special abilities, especially the evil spirit race. The evil spirit race also had a way of devouring vengeful spirits. The green demon race also had some methods in this regard. They had no choice but to choose to come out and help. If they didn't come out, everything would be over. If they could use the Star Dharma idol, they would have already killed their way out. However, in this situation where the Star Dharma idol was sealed, even they were sealed, in terms of battle strength, they were not much better than ordinary cultivators. Under such circumstances, they could only choose to hide. However, at this critical moment, they could only choose to come out. So it's a bunch of shrimp soldiers and crab generals. I thought it was some reinforcements. Etienne's expression was indifferent. He wasn't scared by this so-called reinforcements at all. If he came out earlier, I would have been worried. Don't you think it's too late for you to come out now? Too late? If you have the ability, then go through me first. The primordial giant beast felt that it had been underestimated, and its anger surged again. Getting through you is too easy. It's time to end this. Etienne stretched out his hand and said indifferently, break through. Ding. Star energy deducted. Cultivation base broken through to divine, star venerable late stage. Boom. An astonishing pillar of light soared into the sky. 8 colors shot up into the sky at once, piercing through the clouds. A terrifying aura spread in all directions. It was equivalent to announcing to everyone that he had broken through to divine, star venerable late stage. He broke through? When they saw Etienne break through, they were surprised and even more shocked. How long had it been? And he had broken through again. They tried everything they could to break through, but they couldn't. Some had broken through to divine, star venerable long ago, but they had never broken through to divine, star venerable middle stage. Etienne, however, broke through to divine, star venerable late stage in one go, as if he was drinking water. How many years had it been since a divine, star venerable late stage powerhouse had appeared on Crimson Moon Planet? It wasn't that they hadn't appeared before, but those who had all chosen to leave. If they didn't leave now, they probably wouldn't even have the chance to break through. Phew, breaking through feels so good. Etienne looked up at the primordial giant beast in front of him and said indifferently, "Are you ready?" The primordial giant beast's heart trembled. It felt the threat of death. Before breaking through, it was already hard to tell who would win. Now that it had broken through, the result was self-evident. Stupid human, don't even think about stopping us. Dong. The primordial giant beast had just roared when a figure had already charged in front of it. 10-star venerable level weapons fell heavily, each of them giving off a dazzling light. This time, it truly felt the threat of death. It didn't dare take the attacks head-on like before. Instead, it chose to dodge. However, just as it was about to dodge, the saber light had already fallen. Puffed, its tough body was like a piece of tofu. A large piece was easily cut off. It had dodged its vital parts, but more than half of its body was still cut off. How terrifying! They gasped. The primordial giant beast, which had been difficult to deal with before, had now been easily injured by Etienne. Previously, the saber had only been able to cut slightly deeper. Now, it had been cut in half. If the primordial giant beast hadn't dodged in time, it would have been cut in half. Now that it had dodged, its situation wasn't any better. It had been seriously injured by the saber. You dodged quickly. If you had been any slower, your head would have been separated from your body. Etienne's expression was calm. He wasn't surprised by his improvement at all. Chapter 23:14. The primordial giant beast was incomparably shocked. The injuries on its body didn't bring it much pain. It was mainly because it was shocked by Etienne's strength. After breaking through, it was basically a one-sided suppression. Damn it! Why did I encounter such a freakish human? The primordial giant beast started cursing. It had finally come out from underground, but now it was surrounded by such a terrifying human. At first, it still had a slight advantage and thought that victory was in its grasp. Who knew that it would become more and more difficult, and its side would become more and more disadvantaged. Now, it was even counterattacking, suppressing it with an even more powerful stance. This made it feel a little despair. If this continued, how could it fight? The other formation cores couldn't be removed. Did this mean that the plan it had prepared for so long had failed just like that? No need? Playing with aluminum? Sorry, Meng Luo, playing with aluminum? Etienne arrived in front of it, not giving it any chance to catch its breath. He instantly appeared in front of it and slashed down with his weapon once again. This time, the primordial giant beast turned to flee, but it was already meaningless. It had been lucky to dodge the first time. This time was different. Etienne was aiming at its blind spot to attack. The blade in his hand fell, and light radiated in all directions. In the end, this late-stage divine, star-venerable giant beast was chopped into 8 pieces. Even its soul was cut into countless pieces, and it completely disappeared from this world. Killing a late-stage divine, star-venerable giant beast was as easy as chopping vegetables. There was no difficulty at all. With his current strength, he was absolutely an invincible existence among those at the same level. After all, he could even easily kill a late-stage divine, star-venerable giant beast. This meant that ancient beasts of other levels, or cultivators of the same level, could be easily killed by him. Unless it was a heaven-defying existence, for Etienne, he could easily kill any opponent within the divine, star-venerable realm. Ding! Successfully killed primordial giant beast, late-stage divine star-venerable. Obtained 8 billion star energy points, 3,000 slaughter points. Obtained primordial stone, super rare. Primordial crystal, rare. The items that dropped made Etienne's eyes light up. Primordial stone, a stone that can open the primordial road. After using it, one can enter the primordial era. Time limit is 1 year. Ancient crystal, can be used to forge heavenly weapons. The 2 great treasures, especially the ancient era stone, could actually allow one to enter the ancient era. He didn't know what the situation was like in ancient times, but if he could return to that time, the best thing he could get was treasures. The resources of the ancient era were the most astonishing. It could be said that in a forest, one could find a large pile of divine medicines just by taking a few steps. It wasn't like how it was now, where resources were scarce. As more and more life forms appeared, resources were basically insufficient. Unless it was a region that hadn't been developed yet, it was very difficult to obtain extremely precious godly medicines. He had just reached the peak of his cultivation. If he wanted to break through to the heavenly star supremacy, he would need even more astonishing divine medicine ingredients. There definitely wasn't such a thing on planet Scarlet Moon. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many divine star venerables leaving planet Scarlet Moon and heading to other star fields. This is really good stuff. I'll study it after everything is over. Etienne was very satisfied with this. However, his current goal was to clean up all the giant beasts. He would think about it after everything was over. Soon after, he raised his head and met the gazes of the other primordial beasts in the distance. A chill ran down their spines. They weren't afraid of death, but that didn't mean that they weren't afraid of death. Not being afraid of death was based on the premise that they could defeat the beasts. Now that their boss had been easily suppressed, what was the point of fighting? They would just be cannon fodder if they went over. No matter how hard they fought, it would be meaningless. Unless Tianyun was seriously injured when he killed their boss. Given the current situation, no matter how many of them came, they would be killed. This is the inheritor of the five-colored Emperor Dragon. Many of the primordial beasts were stunned, their hearts cold to the extreme. The other divine generals felt very gratified. The inheritor brought by the five-colored Emperor Dragon that they had been serving all this time was truly a pleasant surprise to them. Even when the five-colored Emperor Dragon was at this level of cultivation, it wasn't as shocking as this, right? It's time to clean up. Wherever Tianyun went, the ancient giant beasts were easily killed. Some of the ancient giant beasts that were hit by Tianyun's attack were as big as a mountain, but their bodies were crushed like tofu after being hit by Tianyun. Apart from him, another beam of light also soared into the sky. This beam of light came from none other than Tianyun's clone. A terrifying aura soared into the sky. It was actually a late-stage divine, Star Venerable. Originally, just Tianyun alone was heaven-defying enough. Now, there was another late-stage divine, Star Venerable clone. Wouldn't the two of them be able to sweep through everything? Boom, boom, boom. Tianyun's clone also brandished 10 weapons, sweeping through everything in its path and easily wiping out everything in its path. Tianyun's clone being able to increase its cultivation naturally had something to do with him. He kept transferring various materials and smashing them down. The clone's cultivation quickly rose. He had killed so many beasts and obtained a lot of materials. As long as he smashed them all, he would be able to smash a late-stage divine, Star Venerable. After that, the two main forces would be able to sweep through everything. There was basically no need for the other divine, Star Venerables. It should be said that the other divine Star Venerables couldn't help much either. Although Jing Xian had a unique star aspect, her cultivation was too low. How could she be as heaven-defying as Tianyun? The evil spirit race and green demon race that had just ascended didn't kill many vengeful spirits. They were frightened by Tianyun's scene. Most of them ran away. They didn't have star aspects to use. If they didn't run, killing them would really be like cutting vegetables. One slash would be able to harvest a large wave. It's too late to escape now. Tianyun snorted coldly and quickly charged over, intercepting the divine Star Venerables and green demon race with stronger cultivation. The green demon race in front of him couldn't use any star aspects. Their battle prowess could be said to be greatly reduced. It had to be said that they were caught in a trap of their own making. Originally, they could have escaped a little faster. Now that they didn't have star aspects, the power they erupted with was extremely weak. How could they still escape? Friend, why don't we work together? I promise to help you rule Red Moon Planet. No, even Wild Dragon Planet can be easily ruled. The divine Star Venerable Green Demon race smiled awkwardly, trying to save his life. Do you think it's difficult for me to rule this Red Moon Planet with my current cultivation? Tianyun said indifferently. The divine Star Venerable Green Demon race was extremely embarrassed. Chapter 23:15. Such a heaven-defying heavenly star supreme giant beast shocked not only Tianyun, but the other cultivators were also deeply shocked by its power. They never thought that there would be such a heaven-defying ancient beast underground. Thinking of the ancient beasts sealed underground on the road they usually walked on, they suddenly felt their scalps tingle. Who knew when the seal would break one day, it would suddenly grab them from below and crush them. Just thinking about it made them shiver. If it really caught them one day, they would really be crushed. This is too scary. There are still such heaven-defying ancient beasts underground. If we don't repair the formation eye, it might attack us one day. Mei Qing Shun, Star Venerable, and the others flew over. The situation of the entire Crimson Moon planet was now under control. There were no giant beasts or the evil spirit race. Even if there were, it would only be a small part. They could just hand it over to the other families. Yes, but the formation is not so easy to repair. Etienne shook his head. In his current situation, he did not have the ability to repair it. For it to be able to seal so many ancient beasts here, it was definitely not a simple thing. He only took a cursory glance and knew that the level of the star pattern was definitely not something he could repair. Just as they were about to continue talking, a group of divine generals came to Etienne's side and knelt down respectfully. "Greetings, Lord. Please get up. Logically speaking, I should be the one calling you seniors or lords. Without your previous contributions, we would not have the peace we have now." Etienne stretched out his hand and lifted them up. He had great respect for these divine generals. Even in this state, they had sealed themselves and waited for the most critical time to come out. How many people could do this kind of dedication? "Lord, you're too polite. Compared to what you've done, our efforts are nothing." The divine general shook his head and said with a serious expression, "We don't have much time left. We will soon disappear from this world. The ancient beasts under the seal have not been eliminated yet. We have been suppressing them all this time, waiting for the day when someone will come and eliminate them. We have waited for so long, and 2 of the formation eyes have been destroyed. If this continues, those ancient beasts will break free sooner or later." The divine general stared at Etienne and said in a low voice, "It's different now. His Excellency is here. I hope that after you have a breakthrough in your cultivation, you will return here to exterminate the ancient beasts and restore peace to this world." They were pioneers, but they would soon disappear. They couldn't complete the rest of the mission, so they could only hope for Etienne to solve it. "Okay, I promise you." Etienne gave a heavy promise. In fact, even if they didn't say it, Etienne would do it. Not only was it related to the desolate dragon star, but it was also a huge amount of experience points. How could he let go? "Thanks for your contribution, Commander-in-Chief." All the immortal generals smiled from the bottom of their hearts as they became completely relieved. Closely after that, they turned into powder and left this world. It was a miracle that they could hold on for so long. Now that they had fought, it was time to leave. After all, their mission had been completed. After they disappeared, Etienne sighed deeply. The matter here was over for now, but what awaited him was a bunch of ancient beasts underground. It wasn't difficult to deal with them. He just needed to break through to the heavenly star supremacy level, and then he would be able to deal with them easily. Of course, he couldn't break through even if he wanted to. He couldn't meet the basic requirements or star energy. It was the same principle as a great star venerable breaking through to a divine star venerable. They both needed divine medicines to improve their star dharma in order to increase their cultivation. Otherwise, they would be locked here. "What do we do now, Commander-in-Chief?" Green Divine Star Venerable called Etienne Commander-in-Chief instead of Commander-in-Chief. Etienne's performance was too shocking. He didn't know what else to call him. "Let's see if there are any fish that escaped from Planet Crimson Moon. There's nothing else we can do for now." Etienne looked at the crack on the ground and said in a deep voice, "Also, seal this place. Don't let anyone get close. It's too dangerous here. Since we broke through once, we might break through a second time. After all, this is the weakest part of the sealing formation." "Yes, Commander-in-Chief." After they received the order, they all went to take action. Soon, only Etienne was left. The war was over, and all the factions of Planet Crimson Moon needed to adjust. They had suffered great losses. It could be said that many powerhouses had died, which greatly reduced their strength, which made them feel extremely sad. "I should also make a move." Etienne took a step forward and tore through the void, disappearing from where he was. In a corner of the starry domain outside Planet Crimson Moon, there was an extremely hidden place where a few figures were walking back and forth. "I wonder what's going on over there. So many elders have gone over to support them. They should be able to occupy Planet Crimson Moon, right? There won't be any problems. The star dharma in this area has been sealed. What can those cultivators do? When the time comes, we'll be able to easily suppress them. Doesn't that mean that we can casually devour those cultivators in the future? Or rather, we can play with them, huh?" The patrolling guards laughed out loud, imagining the beautiful future of their evil spirit race. They could finally completely turn the tables and become the master. Is that so? Then let me play with all of you? A ghostly figure appeared at the side and looked at them coldly. Who is it? The evil spirit race guards raised their heads in shock and saw a human race cultivator in the distance. Surround him, don't let him escape. They moved very quickly, worried that the human would escape. At that time, if the situation here was revealed, they would have failed in their duty. However, before they could surround him, they were enveloped by a wave of killing intent, turning them into a mist of blood. It's time to get rid of them one by one. I'll destroy all of you to the point of no return. Etienne coldly snorted. He took a heavy step forward. The area in front of him was fiercely stomped on. The great formation was ruthlessly stomped open, and then he disappeared from this area. Not long after, he came out of the formation and, with a backhand slap, the formation exploded. The evil spirit race has been completely annihilated. It's the green demon race's turn. Etienne's eyes were ice cold, without the slightest bit of joy. They were just some small fry, so there was no joy in killing them. After all, the real big shots were still hiding under planet Crimson Moon. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.